We're on air. Hey, there we are. I can see visually too. Yay! All right. Hello, listeners, followers, and for the first time ever, chat. Thank you for joining us for this special live stream show celebrating International Podcast Day, which is actually happening September 30th. We're your hosts for today's show, which we have very cleverly titled Let's Talk About Ancient History Fangirl Myths We Dig, Baby. From Movies We Dig, I'm Christy Vogler. And we also have three special guests joining us today. We have Genn McMenemy and Jenny Williamson from Ancient History Fangirls, and last but not least, the lovely Liv Albert from Let's Talk About Myths, Baby. Please say, you guys already said hello. I don't even know why I scripted that. You're on top of it. So, for anyone who's checking out today's live stream or watching its recording on YouTube, please be sure to subscribe to each podcast YouTube channel. We all have them now for some reason. Uh, and this is our first attempt at live stream. We're hoping it's going well. And if you like this event and want to see more like it in the future, we're hoping it's going to be fun for everyone. Be sure to leave us a comment as well, being like, hey, yeah, please do more of this. You can check out all our other platforms as well, and those are going to be linked in the video's description once this goes. I think it's live now, so it's there. We have a really fun show planned for you all today, which will include a Q&A session, a trivia game, and finally a live read-through from Euripides Bacchae. Due to some time constraints, we're condensing things down to just be 2 hours long instead of 4. We've already got drinks in hand, so how about we all say cheers to our first crossover event. Yassa. Mm. All right. So these are, of course, I know. Take a drink, enjoy. I might need more of that. I've doubled mine. Does everyone want to just say what drink they've made up? And then Jenny is going to be our judge of how well they turned out. I think Liv
Well-
wins just by that glass alone, but
Well, let's start. This is the Apollo Spritz, though I've already drank half of it. I'll have another one later. And it just happened to be that these are the only glasses I hadn't packed. So I think Dionysus was living through me in the moment.
yes. Awesome.
So
Colin, what did you? Oh, Jen, yeah, go.
not make any fancy drink, but I did buy fancy bottled wine. It's one of my favorites. Such a gorgeous bottle. Just because I'm a little short on time, but my favorite of those drinks is, I think it's called Ariadne's Naxian Escape.
Oh yeah, that one's Jenn's actually. We named it and created it for her. She is uncredited on that cocktail for sure.
I mean, my favorite thing is the Appletini of Discord. I just think
you named that one fully. Like that's a complete uncredited, but I'm happy to credit you. Not the books are not, but I am.
I'm fine with that.
I was gonna say Lynn is having a Song of the Muses, and that is my personal favorite for a whiskey one.
Good.
That one's really good.
I had that one once, but it was hard to find. It was weirdly hard to find blackberries, which anecdotally I'll say is hilarious because in my city, blackberries grow wild. They're literally on every corner. We call them street fruit. And
they are.
I do mean me, but I call them street fruit. You can stop on the highway, pick some blackberries, get a snack. Anyway, sorry.
Get a nice smoky flavor from the exhaust.
Oh, exactly. Maybe the forest fires. We're doing great.
It tastes grilled. It's awesome.
Yeah. All right, Colin, lay it on us. What do you got?
I'm doing a La Bouze of Hercules or Heracles, and she's a whiskey and Cis and Benedictine. It's very like kind of bittery, which seems appropriate. But
it's supposed to be strong too, so I respect that.
I'm on my second and a half basically. I got here early and just sipped the whole one down while I was waiting for people to trickle into the chat.
As one does.
Well, I have to say, just because I realize now I'm gonna comment on all of them if I have something from having written it. But the La Bouze of Heracles was one where I think I was just like coming up with a bunch of titles, and then I gave to the mixologist on the book. I literally gave her just like the titles and then like a really simple premise.
Mm-hmm.
So I think for that one, I was like, it just needs to be like strong and kind of ridiculous, like Heracles.
And making it was a labor in and of itself. So
yes, La Bouze, indeed, yeah.
How about
I
Lige?
have
Yeah.
Yep, I have the Thracian God right here,
Hell yes.
which I'm very pleased with. It is bourbon, amaro, and something herbal. Yeah, it is kind of like a bourbon martini almost.
It
and
looks
I'm
beautiful.
really into it.
Yeah, go Aries. I've not actually heard of someone making that one other than the mixologist yet. So I keep saying the mixologist. Thea Angst is her name. She's lovely. I've met her in person. My brain is not on. In any case, I'm glad it's good.
Do you have a sense of how many you've had, like of the book? Like, how have you tried them all, or are you still working through?
No, oh my god. I wish what ones did we make together, guys? Like these two have been a part of it more than anyone else I know. So
I definitely made the frosé.
I made the
we made
frosé.
the
I made the Gaia's fuzzy navel, and I didn't have a blender, so I was like, I'm just gonna make yogurt and put booze in it.
I forgot about that.
I was like, this is gonna work, you guys. I was so committed.
She's
Yeah,
like,
we went
"Eat it with the spoon. It was amazing. I'm
just like, I'm gonna eat this, and you guys are like, you don't have to do that. You can
A boozy
stop.
frozen yogurt. That's perfect.
Right?
It
It
was
was
something with bitters.
It makes me drunk.
Yeah. Oh my god. That's so funny. I forgot about that. Yeah, we went through a whole like series of trying to make some together, like together being over Zoom, the four of us, and like on like Genn still like in the UK, and like
That's
it
right.
was wild.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like we made those two. And then sorry, I pulled it up.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna refer. I happen to have a pile of them next to me.
Hell yeah.
I've made. Oh my god, going on. Bright Eyed Athena, which was quite good. I don't love floral all that much, so it's not one I've made a lot. I've made the Apollo Spritz. That's what I have now. I really want to make the Hot Hephaestus. I forget what the ingredients were that I was having trouble with. I've made the Earth Shaker, which was really good because I love mezcal, and so it was like all smoky like that. I have made Gaia's Fuzzy Navel, the Song of the Muses, so good. Tequila Helios, I think that one's fairly easy, so I would have made it. I'm most proud of the pun in Thala Sea Breeze, and there's not a lot of people who get it, and so thank you. That was one of my favorite puns. Rosy Fingered Dawn is so good. It's so tasty. I think I have to comment that the Prometheus's liver is hilarious. I think that's one of the funniest things I've ever done.
Especially if you're watching Chaos, where you got to see a lot of Prometheus getting his liver eaten.
Yeah.
So.
See? And this one, no booze. It's the only one in the whole book without booze. The Bellini K is funny. Sorry.
I sent that to Colin because he asked for like a non-alcoholic cocktail one time. I'm like, let me pull up my lovely myth book.
People have asked me before, like, "Oh, is it good if you don't like alcohol?" And I'm like, "No." I'll be fully honest with you, absolutely not. You're going to be disappointed.
It is a book of booze recipes.
It is, and they're like boozy. Like Thea went hard.
Yes.
So
No,
I'm gonna jump in real quick because like time's going fast.
Keep us honest, Christy.
Yeah, I'm trying. I have a schedule, and I still have to be type A right now. Apparently.
No,
God damn it, we're sticking to it.
I know.
I wonder what everyone else has had too. So
I made the Odysseus's Wine Dark Sea, and I think I substitute I have a lavender lemon simple syrup, and then orange honey and lemon juice that I added to it. Super simple, really good. I couldn't find a lavender sprig because plant.
Because plant.
Because plant.
Yeah. And then Jenny, did you want to tell us your favorite real quick too?
My favorite of Liv's beautiful cocktails. So my go-to is always the Apollo Spritz. And the reason for that is it's super easy to make, easy to find the ingredients. It is delicious. I can drink like 4 of those and not realize I drank that much. But it is also strong depending on how I make it. That is my favorite one. I'm also quite fond of the muddled mayonnaise. If I want to put a little more work into that. And it's just so delicious and fruity and looks like maybe I ripped apart an animal and put that in there.
Yes.
That's the point. Yeah.
But it tastes
You
good.
really deserved it, you know.
Yeah. I worked hard. Okay. I ripped that deer limb from limb myself.
It's going to become relevant later.
Exactly.
Really aren't all drinking the muddled mayonnaise.
Foreshadowing.
Yeah. Well, now that we all have our drinks in hand, I say we let the symposium begin and we get to some listener questions.
Heck
So
yeah.
one thing you may all be wondering is, why did we decide to hold this event for International Podcast Day? Because it's super random. Who knew there was one until Christy felt eager to look it up. So perhaps one of the coolest things about podcasting is the friends we make along the way, as Lige likes to say on our podcast.
Yeah.
And
It's the real
we,
podcast.
yeah. And I gotta say, like, I think the coolest thing about podcasting is literally all of the amazing people we get to talk to that I never would have reached out or crossed paths with before. So this is really kind of a celebration of that, of like other people we've have gotten to meet, got to build friendships with, even though very few of us have ever met in person in real life, I think, or at least like across our own podcast. So that's really cool. The other thing is it's all about building community, interested in learning not just about the past, but also the ways our stories about the past impact our lives today. Each of our podcasts have endeavored to do that. So be sure to check out episodes like Ancient History's Fangirl, 3-part series on the threat of Project 2025. I actually really liked that series. Let's talk about myths, baby. Many conversation episodes that I think quite a few of us have participated in before as well. And for movies we dig, we had fun this summer going back to some 21st century classics, question mark, of Troy, 300, and Alexander, with guests that we hadn't had a chance to talk to before. So if you like those movies, give those a listen. But of course, community
And
is
Spartacus.
and Spartacus. Well, we didn't do Spartacus the movie. We did Spartacus the series.
No, I know, but we all did Spartacus.
We did all Spartacus together.
And I would hands down.
Except me. I recused myself from that one.
And I
That's
would
fine.
hands
We're
down,
fine.
right?
the
There is
ones
no
that I was
question
on,
mark
weren't
underneath or next to Spartacus if it's a classic or not. It is a classic. It is glorious.
It is.
Yes.
It is.
It
It
is
is
a
a
glorious, beautiful mess, and I love it.
The House of Usher continues to terrify me.
Oh,
in
no, I
terms of
can't.
premise.
I can't.
Lucy Lawless is coming back though for it.
It feels like a threat. Like the studio is like pointing a gun at people, and it's like, I'm gonna make it. I swear, I'm gonna do it. And we have to like talk them down. Like, no, put
The
the
most
script down.
problematic character and bring them back.
Well, like if you're gonna forget someone was dead, there are so many people you could resurrect.
Yeah.
You were gonna forget
Yeah.
someone was dead.
I mean, Gannicus, the house of
Gannicus.
Gannicus.
He
Gannicus.
was the
Third
Judge of Gannicus.
Gannicus.
Final season. He is risen.
Gannicus is risen. Exactly.
Can I just
It'd
quickly
be
say,
so
I
funny
changed
if
my
he was like also a Christ figure, just not that Christ figure.
I changed my microphone, and I might have done it riskily, but I'm assuming everyone can still hear me. I just had to say that in case something's wrong. I will try to
We
fix it.
can,
Yes.
we
We
can
got
hear
you,
you,
we
and
got you.
Andy's gonna kick in the door, be like, "What's going on?"
Right.
What
Well,
happened to
that's
Liv's
what he's
audio?"
monitoring.
I realized it was not picking up my professional microphone, so I should do that.
Oh, yeah. That's okay. He's playing the new Zelda game while monitoring us, so hopefully he's having a good time. He says we're all good, so it's
Yep.
all good. Yeah, so we have time for a couple of listener questions, which man, you've got some really smart listeners, because some of these questions are tough. So I'm gonna start with here. I'm gonna do the general ones. We'll come back. Actually, we're gonna start simple and go heavy. Here we go. So Emma sent us 2 questions that were really great. First is, what have you learned or noticed in reading Bacchae that you didn't know or notice before? What's your favorite scene, moment to read? Since we are going to be doing that later in the show. So whoever wants to start on that. I can say for me, it's one of the first plays I recall reading. I think Lysistrata and Medea are the other 2 that like were really early for me. And I love the Bacchae, so
It's definitely a short list play. Like it's on everybody's kind of top 5 list. And if someone were like, I think it's the best play either by Euripides or ever, I would be like, that's fair. Like that's definitely like, I wouldn't look slant-eyed at them if they not like if they came out and were like 7 Against Thebes is the best play. And they're like, who are you?
nice. Yeah. How about you guys? I've told the story before that when I TA'd for classical myth, I had a student who, like, the assignment for everyone was to rewrite the Bacchae. And I had a student who mixed up the word Thyrsis with phallus. And there was a dueling scene between Pentheus and Dionysus with their phalluses.
It's like
not
that edit
phallus.
of Harry Potter where they
That
just
sounds like
changed
more
the-
proposed than the original.
Like,
Incredible.
The period of Thyrsis is very
Yeah.
Phallic. Like,
Yeah.
there were a lot
That
of
is the point.
in Dionysian worship. Like when you would have like the great Dionysian, other like, sorry, this is my nerd pet topic, other Dionysian celebrations, there would be giant phalluses that they would just parade through streets. There was a competition where you danced on essentially like an oiled wineskin until you fell off or burst the wineskin. There's still like penis parades that go back even today in areas of Greece that go back to worship Dionysus. And the thyrsus itself is very phallic. And I've read somewhere that I can't remember now, where like it's even like the ribbons are meant to be like in different colors, symbolizing blood and or semen. So it's like you're not wrong to mix them up. And
no, and I didn't know how to comment it other than like just make sure you know the vocab word difference for thyrsus and phallus for the final exam, and I left it at that.
Yeah, like that's quite you know, like kind of it's true to the intention, I would say.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Also, can I just say the way that Genn so casually said penis party and just kept going on in like her very intelligent sounding or intelligent conversation, but just saying penis party. In any case, I just love Bacchae. I think it's been a while since I read it so directly, but I just think about it like all the time. It's one of the most like visceral, and I on a recent conversation actually, like we were talking about like there's like lost pieces too, right? And like the stuff we don't know is kind of missing from it. Like I don't know. There's just obviously for me the answer is always I want to know the stuff that we don't know.
Yeah,
Which is not super helpful.
Yeah. No, I love my students when they read the Bacchae and they kind of like, you have an image of who Dionysus is as like kind of a fluffy, fun party god if you're like an undergraduate. And then you read the Bacchae and you're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
So I
When
really
I do a lecture on the Bacchae, like at least I've done one once a semester for the last couple of years, and my like boilerplate image is usually Dr. Frankenfurter, and that's like kind of where I start of like this is kind of the energy of like where we need to be, our heads need to be at to think about this character.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
I would say
But
Dr.
also that
Frankenfurter-
reference is now becoming kind of lost on a lot of my students. That I have to like explain Rocky Horror is like a whole other thing.
Oh God,
no, that's tragic.
Getting old's fun.
For me, the Bacchae was one of the first, and I'd read this well after like college, university. One of the first plays that I had read that was like, I read all the worthy plays. So like my big introductions were like Antigone and the Trojan Women and like these really Medea, really heavy plays. So when I got to the Bacchae, I was like, oh, we could be heavy and fun.
That's Euripides, baby.
Yeah, textbook late Euripides.
Yeah. But again, like, the stuff I had read had always been very serious. And then you'd break down like the arguments of this and that in my literature and like theater degree. And then to just get something that was just like, there's a lot of joy in like how evil this is. And it made me happy.
And Genn is endlessly falling for the villain.
Look, Dionysus is my buddy, so what can I tell you?
Robert.
Who's the woman who has a romance novel about Alaric coming out? Like, come on.
Yeah, no, I mean, no judgment from me. Good Lord.
Oh my
He's
gosh.
fully in his villain phase now, and I think he's living his best life.
Love it.
No,
Love
I mean,
it.
like the Bacchae is interesting. Also, just I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about it later, but like the fact that it is like one of the last plays, produced after he had died. Like I've been thinking a lot about like what that really says about it, and kind of what was he trying to do? Like, was it a fuck you in any way? I think it kind of was, but it's there's so much going on. Because it's
there is.
He's
I think
perfect.
that
and also, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
I don't even know what I was fully going to say. It's really keep going, please.
I think that what delights me so much about the Bacchae, which I swear to God I have read prior to now, but it was a while ago. But what delighted me so much about that play is like how weird about gender Pentheus is. Where he's like, what are these women doing? What are they doing? You mean to go see them in the woods? I have to dress as a woman? Oh dear.
I was thinking about like if we do a read through later, I'm like, do I have to like do a Ben Shapiro impersonation? And like, can I do that? Like, because like that's kind of the energy, right? It's like I'm really, really fixated on like women's chastity in a way that is like kind of suspect.
Yes.
I'm like very excited about getting to wear a dress, but like trying to hold it in.
Well, and we're doing Emma Polly's translation, who they work really hard to play with gender in their version of it. And like they make a point that when Pentheus comes out dressed as a woman, you don't play that for comedy, because that is kind of the trope we do of like cross-dressing in Hollywood. And we kind of need to remember it is a tragedy, and this is very serious about like what's about to take place. And so I really appreciate that, because I remember being taught the Bacchae the first time I read it, like to read that as comedy. And it's like, that's probably not.
Or even like when like Tiresias and Cadmus come out and they're like kind of in the Bacchae get up. Like I remember when I was in grad school, a professor who was visiting for like a talk was kind of going on about like, no, that's like not as like it could be funny, it could be jokey, it could not. But like this is like there's something very dark and like sinister kind of that it's alluding to. But yeah.
There's so much happening in that, just that it like they're cousins, that Dionysus has like been, I mean, I remember, and I should say like there's a conversation episode for this. I spoke with Emma Polly years ago, but like it sticks in my head forever because their translation is, well, I feel like I haven't even read the whole thing before now, so I'm very excited. But like just having spoken with Emma was so great, because I just remember us talking about exactly what you guys have just said, but that the playing with that gender, and then the way it's not, it's horrifying and interesting, and there's just kind of so much happening in those moments that like I actually like I'm having a recovered little memory from that conversation, because there's this moment in the play, it's kind of like the turning point, and there's just one line, and it's just like the sound right, it's like just an alpha, and I think Emma was talking about all the different ways it has been translated and how specifically they translated it as fuck. And I like people have said or oi, like they've done a whole kind of like the sounds, the cry, like all these different things. But there is also just this like, or no, maybe it was Emma's one says fuck, and there's one that's also like okay, instead of like maybe it's in Carson says fuck.
There's some fun cussing in this one, like, as I've gone through it.
I feel like there's this sound that has so many layers to it that can be translated so many different ways. Like there's so many words in that one guttural sound.
And I think
and I was like so touched by that. I got it tattooed on my hand just to finish that off, because that was the memory of it. Is like I just have an A and it just looks like an A, but I was like, no, it's this line in Bacchae.
I think that really gets to the heart of what the worship really was, because like again, there's a lot of things about what we think Dionysus is today versus what he was back then. And like, you know, we have a whole series of episodes about Dionysus, and he's, again, my favorite for a lot of reasons, but he was the god of enslaved people and a lot of women and revolutionaries and subverting the societal tropes and gender norms. But one of the things, like theater as an experience, his worship came from this thing called the goat song. Do you remember the goat song, Jenny?
Of course.
So there was
the tragedy is the goat song.
Exactly. So there was this like ancient like festival where kind of like you would have your grievances all sort of like sung out or talked out together as a group. And the idea was you would have this one moment, this cathartic moment, which is where we get catharsis from, where everyone's kind of hearts are in beat. They're in sync together. It's this kind of almost like a mass like hypnosis kind of feeling of all one together. And it's just such an incredible like thing that this worship came from, this altered state through a communal understanding of like how tough the year has been or this or anything else. And I think like we lose that a lot because of what theater has come down to mean to us in the modern age, and particularly a lot of that is the sensibilities of like, you know, Edwardians, Victorians, and people who are like, theater is for like those people. And it's like, but actually a real community bonding moment of like how we deal with the loss and the joy of an entire year. It wasn't just about entertainment, although there is entertainment.
Yeah. I wonder if it's almost, you could make a slight comparison to like Taylor Swift's Eras Tour.
So true.
Yes.
Which is a performance, but it's such a built
It's about
community.
a communal experience about right. There's sort of there's a two-way street going on between performer and audience. That is like the whole magic of that tour.
Yeah, absolutely. That's
all right. I'm breaking in with another question because I know we're all nerds and we'll keep going on this forever.
I mean,
this is what I do.
So
entire
this is
conversation.
from and M, thank you for that question. They're also in our chat, so thank you so much for sending that in. Wardell Mitchell, this question is for all of us, coming from him. Known that women in myths have very little to no agency of their own, nonetheless perpetuating the kidnappings, even in retellings, friend of mine Helen and Persephone, deprives them even further of the side story. What are your thoughts on allowing them to be represented truly, madly, deeply in love as a means to give them a choice, which is unlikely, but still, to make questionable or even foolish decisions? Stupid choices for love are still better than having no say in the matter, right? Question mark. And I think I will open really quick because what this brought to mind was, again, we just covered Chaos, which was delightful. If you have not seen it on Netflix,
I have
you should.
one more episode left, and I don't want to see it because I know what's going to happen. And everyone who knows me from my podcast knows I'm a massive Dionysus fan. I'm working on a novel about him, and I'm just like, I know what's going to happen. But anyway, yes, it is delightful. Everyone should watch it, and then we should all talk about it at some point in time.
We should for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah, I won't give the bad spoiler away, but I will mention that there is a side conversation between Persephone and Hera. And Persephone is just like taking a moment to be like, dude, why'd you make that story up about me being kidnapped and all of this? And she's like, I really actually love Hades. And it's like, I think she also says what? And the pomegranate? I'm allergic. Like, come on. And so I thought that was a really interesting take of, I think Blood of Zeus did something similar where like it was actually a rumor that she'd been kidnapped that was done for political reasons outside of Persephone and Hades' control. So I think that's an interesting take to think about as well, where like Persephone is actually very much in love, and in Chaos she's kind of like a 10 to old Hades, maybe a 6 on the Olympian hotness scale.
Yeah, and
You're really throwing shade at David Thewlis that I don't know if I'm
sorry.
going to stand here.
I'm sorry.
No, that's
He
that's
very
offensive.
much
I haven't
plays
seen it, but I don't like shade on him.
I'm sorry.
I'm a fan, but he definitely plays the part as a very old, like suffering kind of guy. Whereas
Yeah.
Jeff Goldblum's Zeus does not come off, and they're probably contemporary in age, I would imagine, or maybe one's a little younger. But his Zeus is much more like vibrant, and there's a reason for that. But I was going to say there are a lot of like contemporary authors writing in that vein. Like there's B. Fitzgerald, who wrote Girl Goddess Queen, where like the tagline of that is I wasn't kidnapped, I jumped. You know, I was out. And Katie Robert in her Dark Olympus, her Persephone is like, I go right through. I mean, that's very much loosely based. So I think a lot of people have reclaimed that in different ways to have a love aspect or to give Persephone a choice of like, okay, whatever's going on here is so much worse. I would rather go to hell or Hades than be here. And I'm here for that, but I really find it fascinating what the story tells us about ancient marriages and how they would have looked a lot like Persephone and Hades. And, you know, I talk to Jenny all the time, like, I want to write something about that because that myth and how Persephone is viewed by ancient people is a kind of a way to deal with the fact that a lot of ancient marriages really sucked. And the best you could do was hope that, like, I don't know, maybe you grew to love this person because you didn't have a lot of choice if you were a woman, which really sucks.
Because sometimes it would unfold like that, you know, where like if you look at the original myth, where it's pretty, as far as I remember, like unambiguously like a non-consensual kidnapping, and then Zeus is like, yeah, fine, you can have her, you know, and like she's kind of given away by men, and then the mother is really not okay with this. Like this may have been, and Genn has talked about this to me a lot, like this may have been a real experience that women in the ancient world did have quite a lot, and this was kind of speaking to that experience. So like an ancient audience would have seen that myth very differently than the way we see it, which is we want to reclaim it. We want to give her agency. We want to say that she chose this, you know, and like I really enjoy Hades Persephone retellings because I really enjoy seeing seeing Persephone have agency in that and find her power in the dark place, you know, because she's the dread goddess. Like there's a darkness in her that maybe being in the underworld and being in the Deadlands brings out, you know, like that is already baked into the myth too. So like I really see both sides here.
And I also think one of the things that works for me, that why this would have been a comfort to some women in these situations in the ancient world is Persephone, as Jenny says, does get her power through marriage. She does find her way to have more power and agency than she had as a child or as a member of her family, you know, her father's household. But yeah, I agree. gonna stop it.
I'll jump on like that idea that Jen was just talking about, and really everything I'm going to say is kind of paraphrased from Amy Scott Hines has a good article about this on Eidolon, of the kind of conflicting feelings in feminist retellings of like one and trying to grant agency to Persephone by making it romantic, by making it a deliberate decision, but then getting to, when you get to like myths and associated rituals, like Jen was saying, are very often probably justifying marriage practices, marriage customs, which do involve giving away women or even children from one family to another, a kind of, and the non-consensual component of all of that. And this tension in a lot of retellings and like the different strains of feminist retellings as they like get to this myth that pull at each other about, right, when we make it deliberate or we give her that agency, do we lose this kind of grappling or wrestling with these kinds of societal customs that are really deeply baked and almost inexorable from the original tellings, and also the rituals, which is so important because these are recreated and reenacted year after year after year in communities, festivals, things like that.
Yeah. I think this is why I always bring up, I think in this discussion, The Silence of the Girls by Pat Barker, which I think really, it's a Briseis Achilles retelling, and it's much more like trying to contextualize a relationship rather than like giving anyone any kind of more choice or agency, but it's like how you survive in times where you have no agency, and that like survival is still
like heroism.
That's, honestly, that's the story of it that I appreciate. Like I've been pointedly silent, and I know there's at least half the people in here know that that's not unintentional.
Indeed.
No, like, so I won't say much, but like I like exactly what you just said, Elijah. Like I like that, the recontextualizing. I just I don't
you don't want to be romanticized is how you feel, right?
Well, and I think that's also, I was gonna say, that's also why I think we all appreciated Spartacus to an extent, because like that is very much from the slave perspective, and like it's so cruel and everything, because that's the cruel reality of being enslaved. But that doesn't mean you can't find love. That doesn't mean you can't find companionship. That doesn't mean you can't find success and a way out. It's just really hard.
Everything is against you.
And I guess because I feel like I do want to say the words, but no, I like the idea of considering Persephone as having gotten all the agency that you've all described, having really fully taken that underworld role, having really taken charge. I like that Persephone without having to romanticize Hades. I like that Persephone doing it all on her own and being like, well, this is my lot in life, I'm gonna rock it. I just don't like adding the romance. That's my part. But that's a choice I make. That's why.
Listen, I see the myth of Persephone perfectly personified in Agrippina the Younger. Like the way in which she went through those marriages to eventually become empress and have power and solidify herself and set her son up for like, being emperor, and behind the scenes she was empress. Like that is how I see the Persephone myth, as being something you would teach with a happy ending. And that's real dark. Like I'm not going to disagree.
It is.
No, but I think it is important as a happy ending. That's the thing. It's realistic. It's dark to us, yes, but it's realistic, and that's why I like it. That's why I like keeping the romance out of it. I like keeping to the surviving sources, and but still recognizing that keeping to the surviving sources doesn't take away any of her power. That's my stance on it, and that's the thing that often is the reason why I don't talk about it, because people can't. I have a lot of trouble getting people to understand that, but that's how I see it. It's like that it's not about relinquishing power. It's just like I think that she can have all of the power in the whole world without having to romanticize.
Yeah.
There's a broader like culture trend or pop culture trend that I'm fascinated and at sometimes a little troubled by, of like just wanting to romanticize like literally any villain ever, of just pick your fiction, and then we're going to take this character and they might be like,
look, I'm an anti-hero stan, so this is
same for it. Yes,
they could be a genocidal maniac, but we will but they're sexy, or
well,
I do draw my line at genocide.
There's a line. I think the dark romance perspective is something else, but it's tied to this conversation in a way, because like Hades is kind of a dark romance hero, and there are people who enjoy the romanticization of that, and I can understand why, because because what you have with Hades and Persephone is really like a two polar opposites attracting thing. So like I
Mhm.
understand why people romanticize that, but I also really understand why some people don't want to see the romanticization, because in a way, like the ancients wouldn't have necessarily romanticized that.
Yeah.
Like
Well, some might have. I think it's
Yeah.
like it's a
maybe.
case by case thing, right? But it's like, you know, there's an episode I did with Ellie Mack and Roberts years ago about
Mhm.
Best
this, about
episode ever.
Persephone.
Like,
Thank you. It's
one
a
of those
good one.
episodes that completely changed my view on Persephone, and I just literally was like, Jenny, Ellie Mack and Roberts is one of the smartest human beings in the world, and I one day want to have her
I
on the
love her. Well, she's the
And
best.
also, I now want to write a book all about this, and this is the most incredible thing I've ever heard.
Well, I could hear echoes of it when you were answering, which I love. But like
Yeah.
the thing that really stood out to me from that conversation too was the way she depicted, similar to what you were saying, Jen, but the specifics of that. There's a region in Locris where the like it was an actual practice to like have young women depict this for their marriage, and I like that most because I think it shows the depth and like what you were saying, Jenny, how it's just like some might have romanticized, like, so it was like you know, there was all of these depictions that survive from these young women going off to be married, and half of them are terrified and look like they're being abducted, and the other half are happy and they're going to their lives, and like that's great, and that's what I like the complexity. That's why
Yeah.
I like the idea of like retaining the intention of the, or rather what like retaining the words, I suppose, of the original or the surviving sources, and just like being like, you can take it in whatever way you want, which is why I love when people have like appreciate these romanticizations. The only reason I ever have this problem with Persephone is because there is an enormous group of people who will not let me feel otherwise. Like I have been quote unquote corrected by people who were like, no, the original myth says it's a romance, and I'm like, one, there's no such thing as an original myth. Two, no, the earliest surviving source does not do that at all, so
Yeah.
no one both counts. So that's my problem. So it's become this thing for me. But I'm
Yeah,
like,
I
comes
think
back-
it's
either
very
one.
much unequivocally not a romance in the
Yeah.
earliest.
Well, that's
sources.
the
It's
thing,
like Hesiod or something. Like it's not
Yep.
romantic in that sort.
It's
There's
the
a-
Homeric hymn, yeah.
There's a part
Colin,
in the Homeric
yeah, do your
hymn
thought,
that-
and I'm moving on to the next
Yeah,
question.
of course. Where like basically like kind of towards the end of the Homeric hymn, Hades makes his case where he's like, you know, being married to the Lord of the Underworld is like not so bad. It comes with perks X, Y, and Z, and like you'll be very powerful and well respected, and anyone who talks shit about you will be punished and things like that. And I think everything we're saying kind of comes back to like, how do you feel about that sort of pitch of like, yes, I can make my peace with this, or like this is like a hostage situation or something like that.
And ancient world marriages were frequently a hostage situation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And sometimes
I
they
feel
weren't,
good
like-
with Hades making a pitch and Persephone getting to decide. That's not necessarily how it would have been interpreted in the ancient world.
Yeah.
I wrote an introduction for a book recently, and Jenny was like, "Can you please dial this down? Like, please tell me this very light book that is not about this having this really dark undertone." And I was like, "Okay, I guess I will, but I don't want to."
Is it the project I know about?
Yeah, Jenny had to like
You're
really
so
It's a-
funny.
It's a
So
secret
much funnier.
project.
This is going to be
No,
funnier when
yes,
people know what you're
secret.
talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Secret project.
Secret and exciting, and it
Nice.
makes it funnier.
Secret project.
I was just gonna
Under
add
the
on if
mountains.
Hesiod's to be believed, marriage wasn't great for men either. So
I wouldn't
I
take
mean,
Hesiod's word on
there are
fucking
very
anything,
different reasons.
but
yeah, for
Yeah.
very different reasons. But still, it's like, why does this institution exist if no one likes
Hesiod's
it?
the same guy who says that women are just out to steal the grain from your barn, and like that seems to be the beginning and end of his thought on women.
After
Like, they're all
it, like your
just-
life will be miserable with a woman, it'll be miserable without. So fuck
Yeah.
you. Like that's really that's like
Pain
the
in your
entirety
side,
of that
maybe.
section.
His misogyny is to the point where I just kind of want to be like, dude, what happened? Like, who hurt you?
Truly,
What's going
who
on?
hurt you?
And if you're saying that
And
about
why
someone
was
in the
it not
ancient world,
actually
there's a
hurting?
problem.
Yeah.
There's
no,
a
even
baseline
like-
level of misogyny.
Yeah, even like relatively, he really kind of seems like broke. Like, take it back.
Oh, dear.
All right, you guys. I'm
Dial it
gonna throw out one more question because we're already 50 minutes into it, so we'll kind of figure out what we want to
my
do
God, we
next.
are.
But this one comes from Serena. Live on Myths Baby has been making excellent points about Euripides and the politics of war, and the politics war of then and today. So I've come to think that like the ancient Athenian tragedians, we are using myths in retelling largely labeled feminist, but especially centering the woman involved in the Trojan War in much the same ways they did. Do you think this is true or just a huge coincidence? So I think this is kind of a retellings question of like, you know, when we're revisiting these stories, are we doing similar things as Euripides and the other tragedians were doing?
I think
think it
So,
depends
like,
on the story, but yeah.
yeah,
Go
I
ahead.
think the Trojan women in particular was written by Euripides as like a, if I remember my research correctly, as like a sort of knee-jerk reaction to this thing called the Melian
Melian siege. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And like what happened was, this was a really horrible siege that happened. I think it was in Milos. Athens was involved, and people were
No,
treated.
Athens like essentially decimated the entire island. I just want to catch the word involved. Athens just like
Thank
took
you
out the
for
entire
listen.
island.
I
Yeah.
did this research 7 years ago, so I needed
No,
that.
no. Well,
Yeah.
I did it last week, so that's what.
Thank you, my dear. So essentially, Athens committed some real war crimes. Like Athens was not
Athens
good.
committed genocide of the Melians,
Yes.
and then
And
then
so
Euripides wrote
when
Trojan Women about
Euripides
it.
wrote the Trojan Women, he was making a direct comment on this, and he wanted it performed in that way, in which it forced the people in the audience to uncomfortably look at how their role in that siege was exactly like what happened to the women at the end of Troy. And the Trojan Women itself, as a protest play, has been performed over and over again to protest war, how women are treated at the end of war, and things like that. So I think the reasons for staging that play and the reasons that play is so enduring is, unfortunately, we haven't changed very much in all the time that has passed. And I do think that in that play in particular, that was exactly what Euripides wanted you to do. He wanted you to shift and feel really like, ooh, I might be the bad guy here. Spoiler.
Bring it back to, to bring it back to the Bacchae, like one of the readings I tend to take on it, right, where it's like the sort of a big brain, simple answer to Athenian tragedy is all about why kings are bad. But the Bacchae is kind of also slyly about why democracy is also not better, because if Pentheus is this like tyrant type figure, he's authoritarian, he's controlling, he is he's a king. And then Dionysus represents this kind of democratic force in that it's sort of somewhat egalitarian, or is bringing in all sectors of society. There's an element of like, this is really getting off the rails, and like this becomes dangerous and becoins like a sort of out of control mob that's going to rip apart everything that stands in front of them. And like Genn was just talking about, there were a couple of incidents in the Athenian democracy where they voted to basically do war crimes. And there's an element of like, maybe this is getting a little bit out of hand from us, and like, can we put it back in the bottle once it's out? But,
yeah, because I think before the Melian, before the Melian genocide, they'd almost done the same to another like
there's
Ionian.
two. There's Mytilene and there's Milos. And Milos is they show up to the island and you're like, you're Spartan allies, and the Melians are like, no, we're not. And the Athenians are like, yes, you are. Surrender. And the Melians are like, you can't treat us like this. And the Athenians are like, we can do whatever we want.
Yeah,
we have all
they
power.
end up killing all the men, enslaving the women and children, basically.
With Mytilene, they like vote. They have a big long debate, and
they were
vote
going
to
right?
Yes,
they sent a ship out to do
debate,
it.
Yeah,
and they sent the second ship to catch the first ship to be like, wait, don't kill the whole city.
Yeah,
which is terrifying. When I look at
it's
when
still
we look at
happening
our own
under
politics.
Yeah, it's still happening under democracy now. I went on a whole rant. I won't turn this into anything, but like I went on a whole rant a couple weeks ago in the episode of like just how somehow we were all led to believe that democracy is like literally the only good option, or like, and I say democracy as the official term. I don't mean like the rule of the people, because if democracy was actually the rule of the people, it probably would be the best. It's just that democracy is not. And why we as a West seem to think that political brains peaked 2,500 years ago and we should never reconsider the fact that maybe this is not fucking working is a problem. But then I had somebody like email me being all mad about like that I'm shitting on democracy, and I'm like, I'm making salient points. I think there's also like, anyway, sorry, there's so much happening, and I know I'm not American, so I'm not going to say too much more, because that was what got me in trouble. And I'm like, sometimes the whole world revolves around America.
Listen, as I say all the time when people are like, but democracy or this time period was so great, I will always say, for who?
Well, the democracy lasted 100 years.
Yes, every time we've had a democracy, it has always disenfranchised many voters for different reasons. Usually immigrants, usually people of color, women, and it has never been a fair democracy. People who did their time in prison and now are no longer in prison. Like, it has never been fair. And that is the reality that we've seen throughout the ages.
Or even just the baseline assumption that a group of people are going to come to the correct decision.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
like we could all vote between the 5 of us or the 6 of us to do some dumb shit, but that's just.
Look, we could try to go to dinner and not figure out what we want, and and when it's a real fight.
When people older than 70 are deciding everything for the bazillions of people who are under the age of 70, like that's when you get where you're like, is this the best option? Because spoilers, I just don't think that it is.
Yeah, I'm just going to say this. You and I have no children. Therefore, we have no tie to the future. Right. So we should
No
have
stake in the
like
future.
men over 70, almost 80 should have all the power.
Right.
Yeah, I was just an added element of this I wanted to think about with Euripides, putting on these plays that are, appear feminist and try to center women's stories. It's still only being performed for male citizens who and then maybe they go and tell their wives at home about it. Like,
it's
what
an
version?
open question whether there
Yeah.
are women in the audience,
That's true.
or like maybe certain priestesses might have been there, maybe not. Whether for the tragedies versus the comedies, unclear. I was just listening to Edith Hall talk about exactly this. So, like, we just kind of don't know like what the audience makeup might have been like.
It's all women performing now.
But
or sorry, all men performing.
All men performing. Yeah.
All men
But
performing.
as you were saying, like the reality is there were women in that audience, but those women probably would have been enslaved sex workers, courtesans, women who were not considered actual women. So they would have been present for that. Some of them had experiences similar to what they were seeing on stage.
Yeah. And it's just interesting to think, it's like, can you really have a feminist retelling if it's not intentionally being given to women or performed by women or written by women?
Yeah.
This is a master's house, master's tools
retelling
question.
It's still like these days now we use the frame feminist retelling for books that are just about women, and like it's like lost all meaning. Like, just because it features women primarily or was written by a woman, like, spoiler, does not make it feminist. So I think that's the thing that like bothers me often. Are we getting a drink at any point?
Yes, I was literally typing into chat. Like,
I
where are
think
we
we will
at?
wrap questions there. I'm gonna close this out for a break.
Cool.
I'll have to yell at Andy. Andy, break.
What did it take to survive an ancient siege?
Why was the cult of Dionysus behind so many slave revolts in ancient Rome?
What's the tragic history and mythology behind Japan's most haunted ancient forest?
We're Genn
and Jenny
from Ancient History Fangirl. Join us to explore ancient history and mythology from a fun, sometimes tipsy perspective.
Find us at ancienthistoryfangirl.com or wherever you get your podcasts. Pele, Hawaiian goddess of volcanoes, fire, and rebirth.
Maeve, Celtic warrior queen and nemesis of heroes.
Kiyohime, Japanese fire-breathing snake demon.
Pesta, Norwegian spirit of the Black Death. Our book, Women of Myth, is a fascinating look at women and femme characters in world mythology, including goddesses, heroines, and monsters. With captivating illustrations by Ringo Award-nominated artist Sarah Richard, it's the perfect gift for the mythology lover in your life, including yourself.
Find Women of Myth wherever books are sold.
Hey there, I'm Dr. Rad.
And I'm Dr. G.
Together, we host a podcast on ancient Roman history called The Partial Historians.
We tell the history of Rome just as the Romans did, in good old analytic fashion.
We delve into the fascinating stories that the Romans told about themselves and the Greeks told about the Romans, and we critically examine the remaining evidence of Rome's ancient past.
There's nothing like delving into the source material so that you can mock the Romans as much as possible. They self-burn more than you would think.
When trouble strikes in paradise and we can no longer bear competition over Tiberius and Augustus, we invite lovely people to come on the show and calm us down with their insights into the parts of Rome we wish we were experts in.
Our love of ancient Rome knows no bounds and has escaped the mere confinements of radio waves. We have also written 2 books, which, drumroll please, are also on ancient Rome.
Are you sure they're on ancient Rome?
I'm sure it's Rome. If you need to know more about the kings of Rome, the aqueducts and phalluses, those last 2 might not be related to each other, then we heartily commend our forthcoming book, Your Cheeky Guide to the Roman Empire, to you.
The Partial Historians can be found wherever you listen to great podcasts about ancient Rome.
Are you sure it's about ancient Rome?
You know, I think it might just be. We're also on lots of socials, so come by and say hi. We love that.
Hi, listeners. We're excited to announce our new upcoming season. As we're wrapping up Rome on TV, we're transitioning to our new era, which we're going to be calling It Belongs in a Museum, Archaeology on Film. Yes, we're finally getting into this show's namesake, archaeology proper, taking on your favorite fictional museum collectors, treasure hunters, and tomb raiders, Indiana Jones, Laura Croft, Jack Colton, and many others.
We're also excited to announce a new roster of extra special guests from academic and public scholarship worlds. So come listen to real-life archaeologists share their thoughts on your favorite fictional ones.
And remember, you can listen to Movies We Dig on all major streaming platforms. You can also find us at movieswedig.com. And if you want updates on the show, be sure to follow us on social media under the handle @DigMovies or @MoviesWeDig. Hope you dig it. Live again in like 5 seconds.
I'm fine with like 6:30, depending on you guys. But
Okay, cool.
Whatever works.
I'm flexible.
We got through so few questions, but we got through like most. The other one was from Elijah's sister Ren asking why she's so amazing and awesome, and I'm like, we all know, we don't need the answer to that.
That's adorable.
It's one of those unanswerable questions. Why is the sky blue?
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Why is Elijah awesome?
I feel like Sokka, where I'm like, we have an answer for that. We know why the sky is.
No.
Can your science explain why the sky is blue? Yes, it can.
Well, I'm still in the ancient world milieu, you know.
Yeah. No, my
Because
sister is in Japan right now. She's visiting her host family that she stayed with in college. And so she's having like an emotional journey.
I think we are live, just in case.
We are live now. We are live again. Although we're missing Jen. But...
Ren, if you can hear us, hi, we love you.
Jen is walking her dog Monster. She'll be back.
Oh,
I love that his
that's
name is
amazing.
Monster. That makes
That's
me
not his
really
name.
happy.
That's just what she's calling
It's not. His name is Jake.
Yes.
Then
Jake
he's just being
Monster.
difficult.
I want a dog to name him Monster now because
Yeah.
that
I
sounds
support
awesome.
that, yeah. My new kitten, well, she's not even a kitten. My new half feral 1-year-old cat is
fully
named
adult cat
Squid.
who's born children.
Yeah, I got her at 1 and she'd already had kittens. I don't think she'd had any family. So
In
she's
Rome,
like,
she has more legal rights than any of us.
oh my God, so true.
Probably.
Well, so while we got a few of us here and we're waiting to get into trivia while Jen comes back, I had one question for you guys about podcasting specifically. And I was just wanted to know, like, what is one thing you wish people knew or understood about podcasting that they might not? Good, bad, ugly, whatever.
How many ums you have to cut out of the edit?
Oh, so many.
I mean, and sometimes I just leave them all in.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
I don't know. I try to cut out like obvious when I have the time, but sometimes it's like if you speak, you speak. I don't know. I got to a point where it's just like the content, there's just the amount of it.
I whisper to myself as I'm editing, like, talk better next time. And it's like,
honestly, in my experience, like in conversation episodes at this point, which like my regular episodes are pretty scripted, but in conversations, I don't really edit myself at all unless I say something that I then was like, oh my God, you're an awkward weirdo. Like that I'll delete. But I've gotten to a point, and I think it's just because I've recorded myself for so long, like so many hours. There's 650 plus episodes of my show out. Like I just don't even know.
Incredible.
It's ridiculous. I don't even know how it's real anymore. And so at this point, I'm like, I speak in a way, I've like trained myself to avoid too many words that I would want to cut out. And now I just don't think about it. I'm just like, well, we hope for the best, honestly.
Yeah.
Honestly, like I feel like I've had the opposite experience. Like Jen and I it's probably exactly the same as we were in our very first episode in terms of things we say, like that I might have to edit out because I do the editing.
I love that.
And like it's just like because our show is partially scripted and partially not. Like it is scripted, but then we go on these tangents, and because there's two of us, we have to have a conversation about it. And like we might make a joke about things and we think it's funny, so we say that joke like 4 different times and it's only funny the one time. So like in terms of like our like editorial process, like that there's a lot of sculpting, shall we say.
That's fair.
That.
Yeah.
I'm being like, I mean this in
I'm
the
like, what's
most
that like,
loving
Liz?
friend.
Gosh.
No, but like, I mean this in the most loving friend way. I absolutely know what you mean about the jokes. I feel like, but I also feel like there's a point too where it just becomes like that's what I love about you guys is that sometimes you will make the same joke like 6 times. And it, like,
It's,
but
in
it
the
just
moment, it's funny
becomes
all 6 times, but like,
well,
when
yeah,
I
like
listen back,
at this point, it's like it reaches this point where it comes full circle, and I'm like, well, I guess
Oh,
it's
yeah.
funny again because they're still saying it.
Yeah. Well, it becomes the inside joke of your show, right? Like
Well,
me breaking out
exactly.
and the friends
Yeah.
we made along the way. That's very much a large
the
inside
inside
joke at
jokes
this
we made
point.
along the way and then refuse to stop making.
But
Refuse.
that's exactly it, right? Like, yeah, it just becomes this thing. Like that's just part of the
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah,
was
there's definitely like a perk of doing it by myself. I have to say, for all of
Yeah.
you who don't do that, like I will say, there's it not being quite so collaborative. Like I obviously, I work with Michaela really heavily now, but
Yeah.
still, like, yeah, it does make it easier. But at the same time, I think that's the only reason I was able to do 2 a week, and part of me wishes I'd never started doing that.
Yeah.
I would die.
So,
I
well,
would die and then I would be
Die.
dead if we had to
Well,
do
yeah.
2 a week.
No, exactly, right? Because it's only in my brain. So, but that means,
Mhm.
often like I'll be recording at 7 p.m. and then editing it and it comes out at midnight. And it's like that's unhinged. But like, yeah, it's possible because it's just me.
Yeah.
So
I think that everybody's process is so different because, like, I know people who do conversational podcasts and then don't edit very much and just throw the whole thing up like it is, like that, and that's what their show's like, and it's just very loose and conversational. Like, I think that really just depends on the style of the show.
Yeah.
yeah, that's all my conversations are because I started them on a whim. It was never like the whole point of the show. It was like we're in the pandemic and it started as like I'll do 4 and then it was like, oh no, this is great, I'm gonna do them all the time, but I don't have time to actually sculpt it. It's like we're gonna have a nice chat, it's gonna sound like you're talking between friends, but like nobody ever complains, everyone
Yeah.
loves them, so I'm like,
Well, it becomes like it's what builds the parasocial relationship, right? Of like
oh yeah,
people feel like we're part of the group and we know them and all of this, which feels weird sometimes, but like it's really cool. I was gonna say my answer to this question and the reason I wrote it was like I have been getting this whole thing about because I'm out of academia right now, but I have a PhD and I get things like, do you really need a degree to do podcasting? And the answer is no, obviously not. Anyone can do it, except I feel like so much of what I learned from doing a dissertation helps so much with the quality of the podcast. Like even just organizing all of this, like this event, you guys basically felt like making a syllabus for a class in some ways.
yeah, I can tell I do not have a PhD because I would never organize anything like that and I would pay for it. Like I am so impressed. I'm so
There you go.
I have a bachelor's and I'm impressed.
yeah,
I do a
exactly.
lot
My
of event
bachelor's is like
planning.
that.
I do have a lot of marketing and event planning, and I was very impressed. I was like, I've done a lot of these timelines and all this stuff, and this is super organized and communication is great. So
Event planning
And-
makes me cry. Like,
How off the schedule have you gotten already?
Oh, we're at 5:12. We were just waiting for Jen to come back. We were
and it was my fault. I had to.
No, it's all
no.
good. Doggies, fur babies are like very important. I think someone mentioned it's like I don't think any of us have kids, do we? We're all
oh,
yeah.
look at us.
yeah.
We're the best.
Yeah, we don't matter.
Yay.
Look at everyone else.
Why do you
No
think we have
stake in
so
the
much
future
time
right
to do
here.
podcasting?
I'm miserable at my own life.
I do
I
have
mean,
3
like,
cats
God.
and a dog.
What's the gif of Woody Harrelson
Oh,
just,
no, we
just drying his
lost.
tears with?
Colin, come back.
I'm here. I
I'm
haven't gone
actually
anywhere.
cat sitting the most perfect little house panther.
Oh,
He's right over there, and he just came this morning. And good lord, he is glorious. He's glorious. He's a perfect little guy.
My little squiddy's hiding from
Sweet.
me. She'll start screaming at some point because she needs to know I'm there, but she is absolutely terrified, so we won't actually see her.
Piggy's
Aw,
now
I
weak.
hope I hear her scream at some point. But
I
not
also
he's upset. Just
no, she likes to yell. It's an announcement. Usually it's that she wakes up and she has to yell because
oh,
it's a surprise to wake up and she has to announce that to me.
it's relatable.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
All right. We're moving on because time is limited and we're having way too much fun.
Colin,
Go.
questions in the
Colin.
chat.
Yeah, Colin, I'm sending it over to you, please.
Of course, yes. So I'm taking over for our trivia game, which the working title was the Emperor's Club, but I'm calling the Ludus Magnus. I'm going to run this like we are on The Price is Right or Jeopardy or something like that. So I'm going to start by introducing our contestants. So I'm going to go in the order of the order of the alphabet. So joining us from British Columbia, Canada, is Liv Albert.
Thank you.
Soon
Hello.
to be
Yes.
Ontario.
That's exactly right. Though Toronto, I will say specifically, Ontario is kind of a bummer. Toronto is great. But I like
Excellent.
ping from BC.
Fair.
I don't know why
Joining
I'm
us
rambling.
from-
You're welcome.
Joining us from, I was going to say Minnesota, but where are you now, Elijah Fleming?
Still Minnesota, just a different part
Fantastic.
of Minnesota.
Joining us from North Carolina, we got Genn McMenemy.
Thanks so much, Bob Barker. Please remember to spay and neuter your pets.
All right. Joining us from Alexandria, we have Christy Vogler.
Woo, I am here to win the crown, not make friends.
Alrighty. And
This is not
Jenny, I
Friend
actually don't
Island.
know where you're coming from.
I'm from Brooklyn. Hi.
Brooklyn. Joining us from the best borough is Jenny Williamson. All right, Reverend. My family, I had family in Park Slope, but that's neither here nor there.
And then I devoured them.
Of course. So,
Your family.
for
I'm
this
so weird.
for this game, our
Came out
contestants
so
will
easily.
need. Name of your sex tape. Sorry. Bring it back, Bob. Bring it back. So
I'm
for
just here
this
for the
game,
promo.
Stay and neuter your pets.
Yes.
yes, spay and neuter your pets. So for this game, contestants are going to need something to write on. We'll all reveal our answers at the end of the round, as well as your brains and the insufferable need to be right. There will be 2, maybe 3 rounds of play. Points are going to be awarded to the winner based on the round. So winner of the round will get the points. At the end, there will be a tiebreaker and a possible chance to steal the crown. So I'm going to start off based on the conversation we just had. This round is titled parentheses feminist retitling, where I am about to share my screen in a second. I have taken a list of adaptations of myth, except I've split the titles in half and scrambled them up. Your task will be to match the correct first half to the correct last half of the title. So for example, if you see The Fellowship, you're going to match it with Of the Rings. Make
This
sense?
is not going to work well.
I'm going to
Yeah, do
screen
we have to,
share so
like-
you can all see it.
Okay. Do we have to like buzz in? Like, how do you?
No.
No,
like,
this is going to be that we're going to just take a minute to write them down. And then
Oh,
once
got
we've
it.
all
Oh, right,
you've
that's
got
what
your
we're doing.
bearings.
Okay.
And then you can give us points.
Yep. Nope.
Or
I got it. Yep.
Exactly.
Thank you.
All right, so
Great big
I will
busy
screen.
here.
I will screen share now. So here go the names. So in the column A, the first part of the titles are daughters, goddess, guardian, king, silence, song, and a touch. And then in column B, we've got of Achilles, of darkness, of the dead, of the girls, of Ithaca, of Sparta, and of yesterday. All right, so I can't see anyone right now when I'm screen sharing. So just yell when we think we're ready.
Okay.
Oh, God,
We
this
should
is
put
gonna
some
take
music
forever
on
to
this.
write all down.
If you need to abbreviate or do something like
I'm
that,
doing
that
like number for the first column, letter for the second column. So they just have the pair that way.
alrighty.
I am not doing this in any mode. I'm just going for it.
It's the only way it's gonna fit on my nephew's little magnet pad thing.
Sure.
He's gonna turn 2 soon, and he's small. This is small.
Alrighty.
Hang on.
Oh yeah, give us
No,
time.
you're good.
One
This is no
Yeah.
rush. I should have
The
put some music on
writing.
this.
Daughters of the girls.
Some fun pops. I was
There's
like, I
some I
forgot.
actually
After,
don't know. Then I'm
Good,
like,
yeah.
I can't cross it off. Like, oh God.
No, there's
I
a
know.
couple I don't know.
Oh no, I know what that one is. Crap.
Oh.
I actually do know a few of these. Okay.
I know.
feeling
I'm
better.
like, I actually think I
Yeah.
know some of
A
these.
B C D.
Okay, what am I missing? What am I missing?
there should be, I believe, 8.
There is 8. It's the letters that I'm having to alphabetize out for myself.
I haven't done that. I've just done the full title, starting with column A being the.
Oh God.
I was genuinely worried that everyone would know all of these, and
Well,
I
some
would
of
be
these are
like,
really hard. I don't
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely a couple I've not heard of, or just 2. Oh, I'm annoyed.
Yeah.
Is it Daughters of the Girls? It might be.
That's the one I threw out.
Probably.
I felt solid about that one.
My problem is that the leftover ones are also equally like questionable.
Yeah.
I got the daughters. I don't have the goddess one.
Yeah, there's 2 that I don't know,
know,
that I
same.
don't not comfortable. I'm not confident in.
Okay, I've got 2 left, and then
Hang on, I've got 3 left.
We'll
All
see how
right,
this
I think
goes
I-
here.
Yeah.
My
What's
handwriting
happening?
is
Fail on.
crap, you guys. So
All right.
you have to have a good
We
handwriting.
ready? Can I close the screen down?
Hang on. A, B, C,
This
D.
is terrifying.
Okay. A, B.
I hope
I'm
actually you-
screenshotting mine on my
E,
phone so I can
H.
prove
Okay.
All right.
that this is
Okay. Okay. I got it.
All right, I'm stopping the screen share, and then I'm gonna,
Okay.
I'll just keep a tally of how many you get right. So whoever's feeling hot and confident can lead us
Okay,
off.
I'll
All right,
go. Me. Oh,
Eli, perfect. You're first on my list, anyways.
A Touch of Darkness.
Yes.
All right, I've got that.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Keep going.
A Song of Achilles.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Silence of the Girls.
Mm-hmm.
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 Daughters of Sparta.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
I feel like
Okay, wait. Now I'm. This is where I don't know. This is where I'm
same.
going.
Same.
King of Ithaca.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yes.
That was my guess. Yep.
Goddess of the Dead. No, it's Goddess of Yesterday. I've read this book.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I already tapped it in, but I had it wrong. So it's Guardian of the Dead.
All right. So Eli, you got 6 out of 8.
I did, yes.
Well done. You got the full list. Does anyone have anything? All right, I guess I'll go through. Christy, how many did you get?
I'm gonna say 7 because that sounds right. I guess 6 would be correct though.
That's
so
impossible
6.
because if you get one wrong, you have to get another one wrong.
Not if I doubled somewhere. I'm gonna say 6 because I think I mixed up 2 of them.
Okay.
I did know solidly some of those. So.
All right.
Also,
What about
Goddess of Yesterday is a great book. I remember reading that. Old school, very good.
Nice.
Jen? How about you?
I got 6.
Mm-hmm. Which ones did you miss? If out of curiosity.
I missed Goddess of Yesterday and Guardian of the Dead. I just mixed them up.
Mm-hmm. Jenny?
I actually have to read this because like I did not listen closely enough. Was busy drinking my wine. A Touch of Darkness, Daughters of Sparta. I didn't change after we started. A Touch of Darkness, Daughters of Sparta, Song of Achilles, Crown of Starlight, Silence of the Girls, Guardian of the Dead, Goddess of Yesterday, King of Ithaca.
That sounds all right to me, unless.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You got a
Such a-
perfect score.
You got a perfect.
Wow.
Yeah. All right. That round's going to go to Jenny, I think, unless Liv, you also got.
No. I failed on the same 3 that. Well, I think Elijah got more than me, but I failed on the Goddess of blank, Guardian of blank, and Kings of blank. I didn't even bother writing anything. There's just scribbles, which is why I say
Honestly, I
blank.
guessed those.
So yeah,
Well, you
for the
did
record.
well. I
The only
was
one
like
that made
working on guessing them,
sense.
and then
Yeah.
So yeah, for the record, the answers are Silence of the Girls by Pat Barker, Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller, King of Ithaca by Tracy Barrett, Guardian of the Dead by Karen Healy, Goddess of Yesterday by Caroline Cooney, Daughters of Sparta by Claire Haywood, and A Touch of Darkness by Scarlett St. Clair. All right. All right, so that's good. This round is going to go to Jenny. We're going to bring it into my next. This was originally going to be the third, but we'll do this as the second round. But this round is, I'm calling it more of a comment than a question. This is the general trivia round, where I'm going to read out some kind of factoid from ancient myth or history or something like that. And the first contestant to correct me, beginning with "I have more of a comment," is going to get the point.
Okay.
I don't understand, but okay.
no.
I'm going to
Can
say
you
something.
repeat that?
I'm going to say something false. I'm going to say a fact, but it's wrong. Whoever can correct me first, but you have to, a la Jeopardy, begin with "I have more of a comment" than a question, and then correctly identifies what's wrong about the thing I said.
Okay.
Okay.
So
For
we're
the
trolling
academics
you,
in the room.
basically. Got it.
Yes, no, you're one-upping me, right? Like
Gotcha.
I gave the
I love it,
paper
I love
and
it, I love it.
I'm
Inviting
wrong.
the trolling.
Mhm.
Yes, exactly. So this first category is going to be from, let me,
Are we just supposed to jump in and interrupt you? Like
Yeah.
I have.
Yep.
Okay, great. 'cause
Oh
I'm
God.
gonna be
Okay, I don't need
obnoxious.
my
I'm just
little
checking in.
I know this is gonna be
board.
really
Okay.
hard.
But you
I'm
got to
ready.
use the key phrase.
Yeah.
That's the passcode. So our first question is from, or our first factoid is from mythology. The first and most famous literary account of the Trojan horse actually comes from the Roman poet Virgil, whose Aeneid details how the Greek soldiers
I have
sign
more
on
of a
trick- the trick-
comment than a question,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and then it left my brain. Because your phrase was designed to trick us, and as soon as I said those words, because then I got less confident.
I have
I
more of a
believe in
comment
you,
than a
Liv.
question. It's Homer's Odyssey / also we have earlier depictions on pottery.
Great,
That
thanks.
is correct, Kristen.
there's
Yeah.
no-
Well, Virgil's
I
is
was like, I know
arguably the
it's
most.
wrong, but I was like, where was it though? Shit.
Yeah, Virgil's is arguably the most famous, but it isn't the first. It gets a shout out in the Odyssey. It's featured heavily in lost epics that we have fragments and epitomes of, but not the first. Maybe the most famous. All right, that's point to Christy. Marking that
I
down.
told you I'm not here to make friends.
All right. Well,
Not
our
here to
next
make
category is film.
Uh-oh.
Famous in film history for breaking the blacklist in Hollywood, Stanley Kubrick's 1960 film Spartacus was also the on-screen debut of a young Welsh actor named Anthony Hopkins, who played the role of one of Crassus's slaves.
I have more of a comment than a question. I think that Anthony Hopkins actually did a voiceover for something and wasn't in that film.
Yes, that is exactly it. He wasn't in the film. He did
the voiceover for Crassus, talking like essentially there was a line that was censored and cut about like I don't know, something that referred to Crassus liking both boys and girls that they cut.
Yeah, it's an oyster snails. He's talking to.
Oh, is it the oyster scene?
Yeah,
do you like
it's like,
oysters or snails?
And he's like, I like both.
I like both oysters and snails.
Yes.
Discreet did it better with the wine analogy, just saying.
Yeah, so that it was because somebody knew Anthony Hopkins did a killer Laurence Olivier impersonation, and they tapped him for that voiceover. Hopkins is, for those curious, his first film debut was in 1967's The White Bus. His first major film role was the next year in '68 for The Lion in Winter, but he wasn't in the original
is a great
film.
movie.
Sexy.
Yes, so that's a point for Jen. All right, our next category.
Girl for the win.
Yeah. Our next category is U.S. cities. Don't worry, Liv. I'm
No, it's okay. We are forced to know a lot by being Canadian.
The high concentration of colleges and universities led educator Philip Lindsley to dub Atlanta, Georgia, quote, the Athens of the South.
I have more of a comment than a question. Because Athens is like 25 miles to the east of Atlanta.
Isn't there an Athens?
It's not. It's not Athens, Georgia.
I have more of a comment than a question. I believe it's Athens, Ohio, because there's
Nope.
I'm more of a comment than a question. I think he meant to say Sparta of I don't know. There's a Sparta everywhere.
I have more of a comment than a question. I think he meant to say Iowa City, Iowa.
Of course,
Definitely.
yes.
Both in the South and both Athens. Yeah.
Was it a Nashville reference? That's all I've got is that Parthenon
It
there.
was Liv.
I have more of a comment than a question.
Yeah.
Way to go, the Canadians. It's
Actually,
right.
it's a reference to that.
I had no clue. I was like, I'm ceding the floor on this one.
I honestly was like, that's too obvious. And then I'm like,
there's a lot of Athenses in the South.
Also, like UGA is in Athens, Georgia. So that's
right.
like where I was
Can I just say that as the Canadian, I did still get that.
I'm
bravo.
Listen,
And
as
also there's
ancient Greece, I would expect you to.
Well, but also, okay, there's a funny offline reason why I know that, because I've never not talked to the people at the Nashville Parthenon. I've not heard from them.
All right. Actually, on that note, this one, I felt bad about a sort of U.S. specific question. So this next category is Canadian cities or provinces, actually. The Canadian province/region of Labrador gets its name by way of Portuguese from the Latin word labrum, meaning bowl or basin, referring to the harbor at Red Bay.
I have more of a comment than a question. Labrador is not a province.
I put region for that reason because it's Newfoundland and Labrador.
Yep.
But that area.
More a comment than a question. Labrador is a dog breed.
That's what I was gonna say.
Named after this part of Canada.
I have more of a comment than a question. Labra, that word doesn't mean what you said it meant. It doesn't mean like.
A labrum can refer to a bowl or a basin. That is a real Latin word. I looked up.
Okay, I was thinking bull as in like Tauros bull for a moment, and
no, B-O-W-L. Bowl /
like
basin.
a bowl.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not a bowl. Bull.
Yeah. I got a friend from Labrador. If he was watching this, he'd be mad that I'm sure he knows the answer.
Does it come from Portugal? It comes from Italy?
I think we've declared defeat on this one.
All right.
It's an incredibly weirdly Irish place, so I don't know.
So the name actually does come from Portuguese, but it's named after the Portuguese explorer João Fernandes Lavrador, who explored the area first. His name comes from the Portuguese
Colonized.
word lavrador, which comes from the Latin word labor, as in like it means farmer. But a Labrador is a
That's what I
worker.
said. I said that Labrador did not mean a bull. It came from the word labor.
You said
I give
labrum.
it to
I
Jen.
looked up another Latin word. So
All
like, I made up
right,
a
I
false
was
etymology.
close. Come on, I was
I
very
feel like Jen gets half a point for
I
that. 'cause
feel
she
like
did
she-
mention
yeah,
that.
Jen should get
I'll
half
give
point.
Jen
for
a
sure.
half point.
You got closer than the rest of us.
Yeah,
Which
way
is
closer
gonna-
than the rest of us.
which is going to put her in the lead. So that is key.
Yes,
All right. My fifth question is a history question. The first recorded marathon is documented by Herodotus, who wrote that Philippides or Pheidippides, depending on what manuscript you're reading, ran from the Battle of Marathon to Athens to announce their victory.
So what, can you repeat the question?
Or a
No.
comment?
Yes, of course. The first recorded marathon is documented by Herodotus, who wrote that Philippides or Pheidippides, in different manuscripts, ran from the Battle of Marathon to Athens to announce their victory, the Athenians' victory.
I have more
feel
of
like
a
we
comment
covered
than a
this
question. He ran from the beaches of Marathon.
I'm not that
Yeah.
pedantic.
I have more
mean,
of
I
a
am
comment than a
pedantic, but-
question. I mean, I have more of a, yeah. I already said it. That it's not really the first. He didn't write the telling of the first marathon. He wrote of Philippides doing that, and that became known as the idea of the first marathon.
He is the first to mention this guy and his name.
No, I know, yeah, but the way you
Mhm.
phrased
But
it
he
was
didn't
saying
call
he
it
ran
a
the
marathon.
first marathon, is what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah. That apparently is not the answer.
Yeah.
Evidently.
Answer.
Was it Thucydides? I don't know. That's my
Well, honestly, like it sounds like a Thucydides thing.
Yeah.
This
I
is
did
more
not
of
know
a
Herodotus?
comment than a question.
I have more of
Mhm.
a comment than a question. It wasn't the Battle of Marathon he was referencing. It was a different battle.
It was. There's part of it that there's how to nudge you towards the answer. It has to do. Let me read it again. Who wrote that Philippides ran from the Battle of Marathon to Athens to announce their victory?
I have more of a comment than a question. He didn't run to Athens. It was a different town outside of Athens that I can't remember the name of.
No, they
Name
say he
the
ran
town. Name where he went. He
Oh.
went somewhere else. It wasn't Athens.
I have more of a comment than a question.
Browron.
He ran to Thebes instead.
No.
Damn it.
Keep going.
I feel like that would have been farther, but maybe I'm wrong.
I know. Right?
Egina. Oh man.
He couldn't have
Further.
gone to
I
Egina.
flat out don't know this.
No.
but
Getting
I
on a
know
boat?
he covered it, so I'm like, I
That would have
He
been the
went on foot.
triathlon.
Yeah.
This might be a hint. According to
These women-
Herodotus,
kind of a
according to Herodotus, he ran 150 miles in 2 days.
It's too long.
That's not a marathon.
Yeah.
Oh, did he run to like
Oh,
like-
I have more of a comment than a question.
Yeah.
He ran to Corinth.
Yeah.
Nope. Further.
Fucking
I have more of a comment than a question. He
went-
ran to Argos.
Nope.
Mycenae.
Keep going.
That's like not even. Yeah.
Sparta.
Someone said it. I just didn't get
Sparta.
the.
Sparta?
I have more of a comment than a question. It's
I have more of
Sparta.
a comment than a question. Sparta.
It is, yeah.
We're
It was
tied.
Sparta. So
I gave you a half
Alright.
point earlier.
I'm gonna give
You
you
guys are
each a
doing
half
great.
point, but that will put Jen in the lead. So yeah. So in Herodotus says that Philippides went from Athens to Sparta. He did 150 miles in 2 days. He also saw the god Pan on his run.
I would.
and
yeah.
As you do.
I
Checks
mean,
out.
well,
Yeah,
you
and
panicked.
And Pan said that he wasn't the Athenians weren't worshiping Pan enough. So afterwards, the Athenians set up a cave to Pan. The story about him running from Marathon to Athens, which is the actual like distance of a marathon, that doesn't come until way later. That's Lucian.
Okay.
Oh,
So-
wow.
Our guy.
Different story.
Lucian the
Oh,
Satyr
Lucian.
is.
It's Saturn.
Ugh. We recorded like 2 hours of hot nonsense on Lucian the other day. People have that to look forward to.
It is delightful.
Truly.
If you
joyful
ever need
hot
a
nonsense.
laugh, you should read Lucian. That's all.
True. I mean, true.
So right now,
Well, true history. You should read Lucian's True History.
He just lies, but he tells you he lies.
Yeah, he's like,
So
I'm
right-
telling you lying.
so this round is going to Jen. So we've got Jenny and Jen are both sort of tied for first. So we can go to our third round, which can be the tiebreaker.
Yeah.
Okay.
But with the potential, we'll just do it by sort of tally. With the potential to steal. The rules of the game are very loose. Yes, it is Jen and Jenny's game to lose.
The battle of the Jennifer.
Let's find whose line is it anyway rules. We're like, none of the points matter until we get to
Truly.
it.
So this round, kind of butting off the last question, I guess I was in a mood when I wrote all this, because this round is called Father of History, Father of Lies, where I'm going to read out a passage.
Oh, is it about a
So
hippo?
appropriate. It turns out it's the same person.
Yeah. I will read a passage that may or may not be from the Histories Herodotus, who is conventionally known either as the Father of Histories or the Father of Lies because of the many wild things he wrote about stuff like gold-digging ants and phoenixes and griffins and stuff like that. Your task will be to tell me if I'm being a father of history or a father of lies, i.e. the passage that I'm describing is actually from Herodotus, or I am yanking your chain and making something up.
This is so good. I'm so happy.
So I've got 5 things. Some of them I've made up. Some of them are really parts of Herodotus.
Do we
This is
yell
a
Father
write-in.
of History or Father of Lies?
This is
this a write down?
This is a write-down.
Okay.
So there's 5, 1 through 5. Okay.
Should we do bad history daddy, good history daddy?
I
You're the
will
one
accept that.
who's daddy into the situation.
The morally gray history daddy. Where does that come in?
Okay. So, this first question, a thing I am claiming is from Herodotus. The Scythians sacrificed to Ares by taking prisoners of war, cutting off their arms and throwing them in the air. After the sacrifice is over, they depart, leaving the arms where they fell.
We're not.
All right, you got it?
Yeah.
All right. I don't know how to reveal.
Yeah, we could just do
Hold
each.
it up.
We'll just go. We'll just hold it. We'll go in order. Eli, what'd you say?
I said history.
Christy said lies.
I-
Jen said history.
I said Father of History.
And
Lies.
Liv said lies. If this is Father of History, this is from History's 4.60, Book 4, Chapter 62. He's talking about the Scythians. This is the thing he said they actually did.
I love it.
All right.
I would have picked a different body part, but so be it.
Yeah.
I
That's
mean,
what
they
I was
all,
waiting for.
I think, drink like blood from the skulls of their enemies, so it's fine. So
And in water.
Honestly,
wine.
respect.
And they had bitchin' weed saunas. That's all.
They did.
right?
Oh well.
And their
great.
tattoos. Oh,
Baller.
glorious.
So baller.
Beautiful tattoos.
I don't know.
Yes.
Tattoos aren't very cool.
Not at
So
all.
Liv would know nothing
I
about
think one of
that.
my backup questions was like, who has the most tattoos in this
It's
group?
lit.
Liv.
It's lit.
Liv,
It's
yeah.
honestly
It's a
lit.
debatable question. I mean, not to beat
I don't know.
that
I
person,
feel like
but-
lies should be a close second.
I don't
Ooh.
know about that.
How many do you have?
Hold up. 1, 2,
Yeah, watch your
3,
count.
4,
Like 5, maybe, right?
6. I only have 6.
Yeah. I've got 3.
Colin might
so,
have
like-
more than I do. Yeah.
No, I don't have more. Well, there's other question is like discrete tattoos or like real estate of ink, because that's also
No,
like.
tattoos.
Mhm.
Mine is not discreet. Well, that one isn't, and this one is
None of
small.
I mean,
but-
in terms of like,
7.
So I
7.
have
Sorry,
like,
7. There's
if I had,
7.
like,
I forgot
50
about this one.
if I have 50 small tattoos on one arm versus one giant phoenix on my back because I'm breaking up with J Lo,
There
right?
you
Like, who has
There you
more
go.
tattoos?
Ooh,
I
what
can
is
never
that?
decide
Rising
if this
from the
counts as
ashes.
1 or 2.
Liv, how
because it's
many
meant to go
tattoos do you
together,
have?
but,
in
like,
your-
I was referring to my
What
list,
is your
but it
tattoo-
had
your
not
2
been
tattoos?
recently
What are
updated.
they?
it's a pair of swallows from the spring fresco at
I
San
thought
Antonio.
they were swallows.
Right.
They're gorgeous.
Well, yeah, thank you.
Colin
Case in
and I
point.
both got
Yeah.
snake tattoos, but we
How
got them at
pretty.
different times.
Yeah.
So there's my snake. Colin, you have a snake.
Ooh. Oh,
I have a
know.
snake on my back. Mhm.
Yeah.
I have that. I
I
have
also have a
asphodels, and I have the evil eye on my back of my shoulder.
I've got
And I got-
minnow and octopus, and I got pomegranate.
Yeah, we're so nerdy, y'all.
We're on the,
Lily,
wow, really on brand.
Dionysus, Lily.
Can I
Very.
reveal my favorite nerdiest tattoo? It's not very
Please.
old, and I can't really easily show it to people, but I can tell them about it, and I'm incredibly proud of it. Jen,
Yes,
Jenny,
yes,
you
yes,
know
yes,
what
yes.
I'm talking
We
about.
know about it.
Perfectly, Frank. I have a tattoo of like the classic heart with a banner, you know?
Mhm,
I
mhm.
have that on my butt, and the banner says Aragorn.
Yeah.
It's just one of my proudest moments. I also do have like an enormous side piece of like the shard of Narcel, but it's the Aragorn heart with the banner that is, I think, peak
Yeah, that makes my heart so happy.
That's
I'm really
pretty good.
glad.
That's
Oh
pretty
my
good.
god.
But I think the answer was I have about 40 in terms of actual number.
Okay, Liv
but-
wins.
I was like, I feel like there's gonna be no contest here, Christy.
wins
You're
in
like
terms of
putting
just
me
body
into
count.
a category way farther than
It's
I.
almost been 20 years since I've been getting tattoos, which is a truly horrifying thing. Like I'm at 19 years of getting tattoos, which both makes me feel old and makes it a little bit better how many I have.
Yeah.
They were spread out.
I
I'm
only
in the-
started
I'm-
about like 2 years ago, so you know.
I'm in
Yeah,
the
you're
market
new.
for one now. I had just moved though, so I need to find out. I
Yeah.
need to scout out some places.
I
I
need
got
more
my first
money.
one with Liv. Yeah.
You did. We
We
went
did it
in and
together.
I got one on my thing on my neck, and Jenny got her first tattoo, and we were in Brooklyn. It was very fun.
It was
My
so much
first
fun.
tattoo is this one. It's my thyrsus, and when I got it, my parents
You
were
mean
like,
phallus, right?
That's awesome.
My
Yes,
phallus.
this is your phallus.
Your dick
Look at
tattoo,
that
Jen.
flying cone.
Ooh, the
Oh, that's
Thyrsus. Yeah.
So when I got it, my
nice.
parents were like, you should just let the man draw it on you and then decide if you really want to sleep on it. I was like, first off, I'm
The
way
man
too
would
old.
not do that. You'd be paying that man a lot of money to do
The
that.
woman who drew it on me is a fine artist and
Yeah.
retrained during the pandemic to be a tattoo artist because that was her real calling. And she rocks and she's done all of mine.
Yeah, yours are
Nice.
gorgeous.
My dad just gets very upset because he's got like a Navy ship tattoo because he was in the Navy in the 70s. So he's like, I wouldn't have done that if I thought about it later. He's like, what if you commit a crime? I'm like, what do you think's
Well,
going to happen? They're going to
I mean, but I also I hate to
I'm
tell
sorry,
your dad,
but
but
Is
also
the
like
assumption that you're gonna get away
DNA
with the
exists
crime?
now. Like,
Yeah,
Well,
is your dad saying like you would have
Except that
gotten
you
away
have
with the
this
crime?
tattoo.
Yeah. I'm like, but Dad, what if I get murdered? Then you'll be able to find me really quickly.
there you go.
Thinking,
There
actually,
you go.
Dad, what if I commit crimes and I don't get caught?
tattoos
In
make
Florida,
you
they told people
considerably
to
safer
write
than
their name and address on their limbs for Hurricane Helene, just
Oh
in
my
case. I'm
God.
like, yeah,
That
they're
is-
gonna come in handy.
So
no, well, and
horrifying.
tattoos are like the best defense against getting human trafficked.
Yep,
True.
that's
Oh, good to know.
Very true.
All right.
Yeah. I am not an anonymous person at this point, which was a mistake because I actually don't like not being anonymous, but I just went and got a shit ton of
You picked the
tattoos.
wrong profession, girl.
And also, yeah, stumbled into being a public figure very clumsily.
All right, more questions. More
Oh,
questions.
right, more questions. Right, I forgot we're playing a game.
Father of
So
history.
my next question, yeah, history or lies. This claim: the women of Egypt pee standing up, whereas the men do so sitting down. All right, you may reveal once you're ready.
Nice.
Christy says, or sorry, Eli says lies. Christy says history. Liv says history.
Yep.
Lies, says Jenny. This is history. History is
Oh,
235.
Oh.
He actually says, yeah, this is part of a larger theme that everything in Egypt is backwards and reverse of what we do in Greece. So, including it's like who cuts their hair and when, priests do X, Y, and Z, and the women pee standing up. He explicitly mentions.
I know that I think it's tied to like discussions also of different birthing stances. So I think that's why I know it for
Oh.
some reason because
I know that there was
they
like
squat differently.
That makes sense.
I know from our talks with Kate the Explorers that like there was something about Egyptian, like there was something essentially about like Egyptians inventing the litter box. And like
That
I
sounds
was
like so
that's where I was
broad.
going with it. I'm like, I'm not sure. We talked
My completely side note, but my dissertation ended up being sort of born out of a passage from Herodotus about cats and what he says happens, like what cats do and how they behave. Where among other things, he mentions that they will run into burning buildings just like on their own accord, like they just get like obsessed with the burning buildings and run into it. And there's a commentary from the 20s that just the one note on that passage is this is true. And-
what cat did we know?
yeah,
Maybe a
and then
mother
there's-
cat with their kittens inside.
That is
That is
the,
the
the
most
one. It's like
Jenny
that has been observed, but that's not just that's a bit different from cats will just run and like so. The way Herodotus describes it is that Egyptians will like form lines when a house catches on fire to try to run interference to keep cats from running into the burning buildings behind them.
Well, I'm glad that they care about the cats.
As they
Mhm.
should.
I mean, you know what? A crowd in Egypt, like the mob, the Alexandrian mob has been heavily documented by Roman sources, and they're very specific that if you harm a community cat in ancient Alexandria, the mob will rip you limb from limb, as they should.
As they should.
Mhm.
As they
yeah.
should.
Sure.
Yep.
Spoilers for Chaos.
Yeah.
If
Go
there's
away.
cats being
Stop
harmed,
it.
I don't know if
Go
I
away.
can watch that.
No, if something happens to Dennis, I'm out. That's it.
Dennis is amazing. I
Is
love
everybody
Dennis.
okay with Dennis? Please spoil this for me.
No.
Okay. Oh, I might have ruined
You
it.
knew where I was gonna go.
Just
You
like,
got it.
just
I don't
prepare
want
yourself.
any
Just
cat
prepare
getting
yourself.
harmed.
I wrote an email to everyone, like including our guests, when we were planning this, and I'm like, "All right, y'all, I'm 4 episodes in. We're gonna discuss how amazing Dennis and Dionysus are.
Yes!
If anything happens to that cat, I'm torching the whole series."
The whole fucking Netflix should be torched. Don't fuck with cats and dogs.
Netflix literally has another show called "Don't Fuck with Cats."
Cats!
Yeah, which was a bunch of online sleuths solving, like,
Solving
finding
the
a
Canadian
guy.
murder, Liv.
Yeah.
Has anyone seen? It was on Netflix. I'm not sure it's anymore, but it's called Catwalk, and it's about a cat show contest circuit
Yes.
in Canada.
I have watched this with you. Oh my god.
Yes, I probably made you watch it, Eli. I'm
Probably.
obsessed with it. I've gone through like various like levels of like conspiracy brain about this. Of like the first time you watch it, you're like, well, this owner, she's clearly insane. And then I come around, I'm like, no, she's right. The other ones are all like driving her to madness. Like this is a hit job. Anyway, justice for Kim. That's neither here nor there.
Can I just say I did sneak off to fill a drink, but I had my headphones in so I could hear all of that without me, and I just truly enjoyed. I have not seen Chaos yet, so I was like, "This is my time. I'm just gonna do it."
We need to like watch it and talk about it because like I was telling
There's
Jenny
too much pressure now. Like I've had like 80 different people ask me about it, and now I'm like, the more people ask me about it, the more it scares me, and it makes it worse
and then you
to watch
can't
it.
you
Yeah,
can't
so
like
then you
review it
can't
honestly because you know that
Yeah.
you're like expected to like deliver a take, and you're like, am I'm too out of my own brain to like
Listen,
review
I'm not
this.
expecting to
becomes
publicly
work.
deliver a take. I'm just expecting to talk about it with y'all.
I'm just gonna
Oh,
deliver a take
yeah,
to
yeah.
Jen, and then Jen and I can discuss if my take is worthy of public consumption.
I just wanted to add that M is been chatting in the chat, which is great, and she writes, "Main takeaway: I need to watch Chaos and not get attached to Dennis, apparently." Which I responded, "That's impossible," but good
Oh,
luck.
never mind.
I think
The cat
My
is
mom
be
is watching
okay.
Chaos and she texts me
it's part
every day.
that
Those are my ground rules.
She's like,
the
I love
show
that.
is simultaneously positioning you to care about this cat, but also sending very clear signals that like
Don't get attached to Dennis.
something
Cannot.
bad
Are
is
they
happening.
pulling a Zagreus?
I cannot.
I think they are because Dennis is another name for Dionysus. So I think like
Well, I
they're-
know that. That's why. But like
Yeah.
the Zagreus
It's also
part, I
like
go,
you have Dionysus and Orpheus working together, so there's a lot of Orphism.
Oh, okay. I kind of
Yeah,
redeemed.
which
Oh
is
well,
gonna
then
make
I'm.
me happy.
I feel.
But
Yeah,
there's
and for it not to be
the-
okay, even if it's an Orphic cat.
People, I think this cat.
No, of course. No, you're right, Jenny. I'm not saying I'm
We
not
love cats,
condoning
okay?
that cat having
We're trying to
issues. I'm talking
figure-
about the show.
Yeah.
I also
But
have to
Liv,
say,
there's
just
Canis,
because
which makes me really happy.
there's
And they
what?
follow that through. His name is Canis or Canis?
Oh
Yes,
Yes.
that's
Yeah,
such a good
Canis
storyline.
is
It's
his
such
name,
a good
yeah.
storyline, and it's followed in the
Ooh.
mythology, and it makes me so happy that that's something they pulled out as opposed to something
Yeah.
tried and true that they.
So
could
they
have
just
gone
went
with.
straight to Ovid, though.
I know.
Yeah, they
but
kind of
no.
did.
It's fine.
I
it's
know,
fine.
but I'm
Anyway,
glad they got that representation.
They
No,
did a
absolutely. Oh,
really good
absolutely,
job with that
absolutely.
story, I feel
We
like.
did.
No,
did
I'm sure. I'm sure.
such a
I'm
good
I'm,
job
I'm
with that
bugging
story.
it about being Ovid, but not the actual context. But I just have to say, because you mentioned M, who's been commenting, I also like. It's hard for me because I get enough, but like there are a handful of people who comment and like message me things that I like very much can recognize, and M is one of them. She's like the most supportive person and everywhere. So
Aw.
thank you. I'm like
Yeah,
I'm also
thank
got
you,
it live
Em.
on my phone below.
My sister is also in the chat. Hey, Ren.
Hi, Red.
They're so supportive.
haven't
There's
seen
been such supportive stuff for you. It's great.
Yeah, a lot. Isn't it like 1 a.m. in Japan right now or something?
No, it's pretty early in the morning though. I think it's maybe like. Ren, text me what time it is. I don't know. It's early. I think it's like 6 or
guys,
7
it's
a.m.
almost 5:50.
Okay. Right.
Hell,
Sorry,
hurry
I still
up.
have
We're not
questions
yet.
that I wrote. Okay, so this father of history, father of lies. The city of Cyrene was settled on the instructions of the Oracle of Delphi when its founder, Battus, consulted the oracle after being expelled from Sparta because his wife gave birth to a lion.
God.
I'm just
I
gonna.
hate that it's not easy to decide.
It really
with something
isn't.
like that.
You know what? I'm just gonna answer what I want it to be instead of like anything else.
Yeah, that's fair.
Not wrong. Not wrong.
There is no wrong or right answer.
Sounds
Um,
absolutely
all right.
like a thing Herodotus would say.
I said lies
right.
because I don't think it was a lion. I think it was something else.
Lies says Christy. History says
Lies.
Jen.
I said
Christy
history.
says and Liv, what'd you say? History. I straight up made this up.
Yeah. You imitated Herodotus well.
Yeah, well done.
Yeah.
He specializes in animals and literature, so that's not too surprising.
But Battus is from Herodotus, and he does found Cyrene. The lion birth, there's actually another part of Herodotus where it casually mentions that somebody gives birth to a lion and like doesn't dwell on it, but that is not this story.
It's like a little throwaway detail.
Yeah, no, truly.
No, that
there's a
thing that
mention-
happened.
I think Croesus has to take a lion that one of his concubines or something gave birth to and walk it around the city. And the passage gets really hung up on he doesn't walk it over this one passage because it's really steep. And then that's the part that later gets invaded. But he skips over the fact that like a woman gave birth to a lion, which is like just in there.
As you do, because literally the ancient
As you
Egyptians
do.
what comes out of a vagina, and they're like surprised every time. They're like, "What is this?"
Truly.
Was Croesus there and someone in his like court just had a lion cub and he's like, where did this come from? And she's like, I gave birth to it. It's my baby. And he's like, yes, of course.
Naturally.
To be
Totally
fair,
normal.
that's something Jenny
Moving
would say.
on.
That's something I would say about any cat that I have in my house. This is my child.
Yeah, this is
That's fair.
All right.
The
The
original
childless
cat.
cat lady right
Yeah.
there.
Okay.
And
Question.
history.
The next question. The tyrant Periander stripped and burned the clothes of all of the women in Corinth because the ghost of his wife was angry at him for not burning the clothes she was buried in.
Oh, that's weird.
That's kind of the litmus test when I was making these. I was like, what's
Yeah.
too weird or not weird enough?
Because it's weird because that it's a question of cremation versus internment, right?
not even because it's not what he did with her
Clothes,
body, it's what he did with her clothes.
Yeah, that's why it's weird. It's like, well,
Because those are different things.
yeah, but you don't bury people naked.
Sometimes you do. Sometimes you put them in a shroud.
Okay,
Yeah.
Sometimes.
What do you put them in?
that's fair.
But
that's
then they
fair.
wouldn't be clothes. that
Yeah,
they
but then
were
why does she
buried
care about her clothes, like her burial clothes?
True.
Ugh.
I'm
But the
still
last-
saying I'm saying history. This sounds like
Yeah.
weird enough to be.
Yeah, I'm gonna say history to that too.
Yeah, I'm gonna say
I
history.
said lies just to be
I'm risking
different.
lies. Yeah.
This
Okay.
is history. This is from Herodotus
Son of a
592.
archaeologist for
You're
the
doing
win.
really good.
Mm.
Yeah,
This-
0 for 4
Also,
right
part of this ghost story was this is part of a long speech where the Corinthians are arguing to the Spartans why they shouldn't reinstall a tyrant in Athens, and they tell all of these stories of their own experiences. And also part of the story is that the ghost was angry at Periander for having sex with her corpse.
That makes
Sure.
more
More
sense.
sense, and I
As
hate
you
that
do.
I just said that. That makes so much more sense and how horrifying is that?
That's reasonable.
I was
Like,
just
oh,
thinking
that
that,
explains everything.
That's why she wanted to burn her clothes and everything
Yeah,
else.
and so his
And-
solution is he gathers all of the
burn
women
it
in the entire
all.
city into the temple of Hera, and then takes all of their clothes and burns all of their clothes instead.
All right.
Well, no,
Bro.
that's not what she wanted.
No, that's
Decisions.
not what she wants.
It's not great.
No
It's not
special
a good
wishes.
fit.
All right, how are we on the tallies? Because I have been doing a bad job keeping
I have
track.
was that our last question? Do we
That
have
was
one left?
5. That was
Okay.
5. I have one more.
I've only written down 4, but I got
Yeah,
like,
I don't think. I think that was just 4, Colin.
Yeah, that was
We
just
had the Scythians. We have the
Yeah.
elephant. The
No.
women of Egypt, peace
No
standing
elephant.
up.
there was
No
no
elephant.
elephant.
You
Oh
skipped the
shit! I
elephant.
skipped that one. Oh, I skipped that one. Okay.
How dare you skip an elephant?
Okay. Next question. Elephants have been observed to perform religious activities such as purification rituals and worshiping the sun and moon, and they will not board ships without solemn oaths from their trainers.
Oh, that's history.
This is history. This is
That
straight up
feels like
history. Yep.
Although it is an animal one again, and Colin is tricky with those. So
I know, but I feel like I've read this. I feel like I've read this passage.
I feel like history. It's got to be history.
This is lies.
God damn it.
Damn it, Colin! You're so
This-
good.
This is a factoid
Wrong.
that's in a bunch of authors, like Pliny and Cassius Dio. It's not in Herodotus. He has tons of other stories. I'm being really pedantic on this one.
There's absolutely
we'll-
something somewhere about elephants refusing to board ships without like strong, like without reassurance quotes from their trainers. Like that
Yeah.
exists.
Yeah, that's
That's
not
real.
Herodotus, but definitely
I
a real
didn't.
other
The
one.
fact I didn't make up, I made up the fact that it's in Herodotus.
Oh,
Fair enough,
That's
fair enough.
tricky. Very
That
tricky.
was
rude.
tricky.
Okay.
That was well
Rude.
played.
Yes, I felt
was
bad
pretty
about
good at
that
this
one.
game.
Yep. Okay, I got 3 out of 5.
Yeah.
I got 2.
I got
one.
3. I got
I don't
3.
think I got one. I don't think
All right.
that actually
Oh,
happened.
you got one.
So-
You got one because we
Did
were
I?
matching on one.
This,
and we
this
got
will
okay.
be the tiebreaker for the pie.
Okay.
The
I'm
Egyptian
gonna-
pharaoh, Amasis broke off his friendship with the tyrant Polycrates because Polycrates kept sending him increasingly expensive gifts and personalized poetry, which the pharaoh found excessive and off-putting.
It's not about an animal, so.
Damn it. I don't even know on this one.
Okay.
I'm just guessing.
I'm guessing. I know what I want
At
it
this
to be.
point, I don't know.
Hands
I'm
down,
gonna
I want
say-
that to be history.
I'm gonna say
I'm
history.
saying lies.
Yeah.
I said history.
I'm
I
saying
don't know if you
history.
can read
We'll
this. Like
see.
this is a bunch of scribbles, but it says history.
This is, you're on the honor system. I'm not being real persnickety about this, but this is lies. I made this completely up.
Oh,
All right.
I officially
is
got
a
1 out of
story-
6.
There is a story about this pharaoh and this tyrant, but it's about a ring. And then the guy is saying like, everything's going really well for me. And the pharaoh's like, you should get rid of the thing you love most because like nothing great happens for everyone all the time. And so the guy tries to get rid of his ring and it keeps coming back to him. Like a fisherman finds it in a fish and shit like that. And then the pharaoh
That's a
hears
great
about this
horror
and he's,
story.
yeah. And then the pharaoh hears about this and he's like, we can't be friends anymore because something bad is coming your way. And then something bad does come his way.
Colin, I love how your research interests are very apparent in these trivia questions.
Yeah.
Let us tell you about what happens when you get rid of the thing you love the most. You found the cult of Atargatis.
All right. So what's the final tally on that? I had 3.
What happens when you throw away the magic ring?
I had 4.
Okay,
I
Lige got
have
4.
1.
Okay.
I lost.
So Lige
Yeah.
wins that one with 4.
Yeah. So total scores, it still technically would go to Genn, who won the first 2
Fine,
rounds.
but I feel proud about that
You're
round.
Mr. Julius Caesar if we're referencing the emperor.
Oh, he's gonna love that.
Oh, Julius Caesar's gonna be so proud.
Don't tell him.
Yeah,
don't tell him.
really.
He's
All right. So-
Never gonna live that one down, Jen.
No.
All right.
So good.
Oh yeah.
All right,
this is
y'all.
so
We're
fun.
back.
Woo!
And we're turning it over to Lige to introduce. Again, we're not going to be able to do a full read through of the play, but we're gonna do the conclusion. So
We're gonna try. Yes. All right. So as we've kind of already talked about a little bit, the big festival of Dionysus, sort of known as the Greater Dionysia, or just like the festival Dionysia, was the theatrical event. If you were in 5th century Athens, like this is where you're going. Again, this is your era's tour. This is your era's playlist. To entertain a lot of the Athenian citizenry. But like, you know, as again, we have already discussed, there has been some conversation on who is allowed to be here. You know, were women in the audience, were slaves in the audience, were medics in the audience, you know, all of these, you know, foreign immigrants, you know, who could participate in seeing this. So we have our own little Dionysia, I guess we could say. And so we're going to talk about the Bacchae. And this was written again, sort of in the final years of Oedipus's life. This was premiered
Euripides.
posthumously. Sorry,
It would be cool
Euripides.
if it was at the end of your Oedipus's life, but
I'm reading so fast that my brain is just
Oh,
like
yeah.
filling in words.
yeah.
And I'm like, thank you.
No,
thank
it's
you.
so valid. Also, it was like kind of a fun one. Like, I mean, I would enjoy.
No, that
I
was a
wouldn't
good one.
mind.
Yeah, I was
You
like,
know?
what if
Freud-
Oedipus wrote a play?
From beyond
I
the
mean,
grave,
what
Freud is
if?
like,
I mean, if
It
anyone knows
wasn't
tragedy,
question
it's
or a
Oedipus.
comment.
Oh, is that
Yeah.
Woo! My brain reading and my brain actually understanding what I'm reading are 2 different parts of my subconscious.
I respect this feeling
respect that.
immensely.
as a person who found out
That's
they were
called
dyslexic
neurodivergence.
in their 30s? I get you.
Yep, my little ADHD brain is like,
Damn.
Oh, we love it.
what?
Not
I don't know. But yes, this was posthumously performed. like early 400s BC, part of a tetralogy. It was part of a couple of other plays that we also get to read a lot in like mythology classes, like Iphigenia at Aulis, which is again I really like that play. I think it has some weird things to talk about.
Wild. It's just wild.
Wild as hell. Yeah. So but yeah, I think, let's see, we definitely want to give a special shout out to Emily. You guys, I've had too many.
You want me? I got it. I got you, girl. I got you.
Gotcha.
I got you. All right. All right.
I mean, it's so appropriate that it's Dionysus. Like he was
exactly. It was. I think Liv pitched it in the end because we were talking about a few different plays. I'm like, the Bacchae. That's appropriate.
It just felt right.
What did we?
I know.
I was trying to remember what we initially sort of suggested.
The Thesmophusa.
Thesmophoria Zeusai.
Thank you. Yeah. I would have. I think it was the other one. Like I think we talked. Lysistrata would have been kind of like that's.
Lysistrata would have been kind of fun. Yes. Yeah. Yes.
I like the ones where the frogs go to war. That's my favorite now.
Frogs? Is that
the Battle of the Frogs and Mice? Not a play, but it's
beautiful. Frogs and Mice. Yes.
I mean,
Bactromacomyacia?
Yes.
All right. I'm gonna pick up for you, Laj. Is that good?
Thank you. No, yes, please.
Right.
I think my brain is a little bit too.
As it should be.
In my Thracian god, perhaps? Then it should be.
There you go.
So.
I respect. Can I say before we just like even go past like all of us being slightly messy, which I respect? Can I admit that I didn't remember to open up the file before we got on here, and I can't find the link, and I'm trying not to be so obvious. Can someone just put it into our chat? Everyone gets behind the scenes. I am a mess of a human. Thank you very much.
I am sending that and sharing it in our own chats here. So
everyone pretend you didn't see that.
It happens. This is why we're prepared, like Boy Scouts.
Exactly. Right? Thank you.
I've never was a Girl Scout or a Boy Scout, but boy, do I appreciate that motto sometimes. All right. So also, we want to give a special shout out to Emma Polly, who very generously provided their translation of the Bacchae for today's read through. You can learn more about Emma and their work on Greek tragedy at emmapolly.com. That's also linked in the description in case you're not sure about the spelling. And then be sure to check out their episode with Liv titled Conversations Non-Binary Dionysus, a look at Euripides Bacchae. This reading's going to go great, y'all.
Hold on, because it's not. I have access denied to that. I'm sorry that everyone is witnessing this.
Hang on. Hot minute.
I'm sorry, this is entirely on me. I
Hot
should have done this.
Why
earlier.
is this private only to me? Fool.
No,
What's
and me,
wrong?
like I just like didn't open it beforehand.
I got it.
Thank you, you're a queen.
Anyone with link? Okay, saving. Copy link. I'm sending the link to you one more time. Hang on.
I'm sending it to you in email. Also, just the doc.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
There we
you.
go. All right.
Thank you.
And while Liv pulls that up, just letting you know.
One job.
I'm not playing an important character or anything.
Not at all.
No,
do you know
I don't know what you're talking about.
You called first, if memory serves.
I know. Oh, I did. This is all me. I'm taking all the blame.
We were all fighting for parts because like, well, if I can't be Dionysus, then I want to be Pentheus. But then I'm like,
I will say very clear. I did say I didn't need to be it. I was like, if somebody else feels strongly, feel free.
Everyone said that. It wasn't helpful.
Well, I just said, I was very clear. I was like, I'll take Dionysus, but
I was genuinely wondering out loud if is it too on the nose if I go for Pentheus?
Nope, not at all.
And we all know.
I was like, if I have to be a character, I want to pull my son apart. That's what I want.
Exactly. Yeah. All right. So guys, we haven't pieced it together amongst our drunk ramblings at this point. For today's performance, Liv will be taking the titular role of Dionysus. Colin will be acting as the tragic figure of Pentheus. Genn has
I hate
two
things
roles.
I can't control.
Yeah, that's true. Genn has two roles, but I don't know if we're going to see both of them. Tiresias and Pentheus's mother, Agave. Elijah is playing the king of Thebes. I hope I got this right. Cadmus. While Christy performs the nameless roles of first, second messenger, soldier, and my favorite, sound effects for stage direction.
Oh my god, you have like a blood splat Sound
There are
effects?
some fun noises I get to make. I looked through it.
Oh, I'm
And then rounding out the
excited.
cast is Jenny, who will be voicing the role of the chorus. And with that, again, we're jumping ahead. Quick synopsis: Dionysus rolls into town. Maenads are going in the hills, being crazy. Pentheus and his family denies Dionysus being a god, and Dionysus is like, well, we need to fix that. Some shenanigans have happened. And now we're at the point where Dionysus is starting to convince Pentheus, or has convinced Pentheus, to dress up as a woman to go see what's happening with all the Maenads. So I think that's about right where we're at. Yeah.
Heck yeah.
All
where,
right.
where are we starting?
Are we
We
starting
are
page
officially starting on
30?
page 40
Page 40. Okay.
with the
40?
chorus.
Or okay.
Is it Am
Oh,
I
yeah.
to Dance?
You
Yeah.
are to dance, Jenny.
Okay. Am I to dance? To lift my feet the whole night through with the frenzy of a god inside me? Shall I bare my throat to the dewy air like a fawn at play in the meadow where joy is green and wide? When she has outrun a panicked chase, leaped clear over the braided nets and their wielders, when the hunter spurs his dogs on and she presses faster, faster, she runs, she leaps, her fear puts lightning in her bounds. She rushes over the plains, down the riverbank, and finds her joy again, away from men, finds it in the wild places and in the shade among young trees. What is wisdom? Here? Now? What is the highest blessing of gods to mortals? It is to stretch out your hand over the head of the one you hate, the one that hates you, and know your strength is greater. Doesn't that always feel good? The strength of a god is not roused without need, but when it is roused, it comes down implacably. It sets mortals to rights, the ones who kneel at the altar of pride, those who, in senselessness and without judgment, do not acknowledge the gods. In their cunning, the gods hide themselves behind time, behind the pace of our years, and they hunt down the unholy. Natural law forbids us from exceeding over time, our scope. The price of knowing this is not too high. There's even strength in it. Knowing the divine is power. It has been so for the longest of time. It will be so for a long time more. It's only natural. What is wisdom? Here, now? What is the highest blessing of gods to mortals? It is to stretch out your hand over the head of the one you hate. I think this is repeating itself.
It might be. I didn't do it.
Oh, maybe it's meant to be this way. Over the one you hate, the one that hates you, and know your strength is greater. Doesn't that always feel good? Happy is the one who escapes a sea storm and comes home to the harbor. And happy is the one who stands against their hardships. Happy are they who endure. One man may exceed another in his own way, in wealth, in power, countless hopes for yet more countless people. Sometimes hope wins out, gives us riches, and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes we fail. But the one who can live in spite of this, who is happy day to day, that one is blessed.
Dionysus re-enters, pausing in the doorway.
Come on now. So eager to see what he's not meant to see. So eager to chase what must not be chased. Pentheus, I'm talking to you. Come on out of the house. That's right, out where I can see you. I want to see you dressed to the nines in women's wear. Not just a woman's, a Maenads, a Bacchants, a spy amidst your mother and her retinue.
Pentheus enters, wearing the clothing Dionysus has previously described.
My goodness, a daughter of Cadmus, you look really pretty.
I can see two suns, I think. Two sets of 7 gates around the city, 2 Thebes, and you. You're the bull. You look like a bull right in front of me, leading me on. I can see horns on your head. Were you wild before? A beast, not a person. You're a bull now. I'm sure of it.
It's the god's presence. He walks with us. They weren't feeling very gracious before, but now they've declared a ceasefire. You're seeing what you should see.
How do I look? Is this like how Ino stands or Agave, my mother?
fitting image. Uncanny. But here, this lock of hair has come loose. It's not where I put it under the headband.
I had done that inside. I was practicing maenadding, like tossing my hair and all that.
Of course you were. Come here, I'll fix it. That's what I'm here for. Hold still, head straight.
Dionysus fixes his hair.
All right, all set in order. I'm all yours.
And your belt is too loose. And these pleats, they're all uneven around your ankles.
Seems all right on the right side. As far as I can tell, it's not too bad. It's a nice cut on me, ankle length.
You'll think me a true friend once you see that you were wrong about how the Bacchae dress. It's all very sensible, really, I promise.
What's more like them, holding the staff in the left hand or the right hand? I want to get this spot on.
In the right, and lifted with the right foot. I'm so pleased that you've changed your mind.
I could lift Mount Kithaeron on my shoulders, Bacchae and all, couldn't I?
Sure, why not? If you want to, you had such a negative outlook before, such an unsound mind. Now you're thinking as you should.
Maybe we'll bring a crowbar, or should I tear the mountain from its roots barehanded? No, I'll need a better angle, better to brace with the shoulders. Am I right? Arms, maybe.
Just as long as you don't wreck the nymph's shrines or Pan's favorite pipe playing spot.
Ah, yes, well said. No taking women by force. I'll hide myself in the pines.
You'll hide in the perfect hidey hole for a spy sneaking up on the maenads.
I can see them now, almost. Little birds in the brambles, tangled up in each other, in bed with one another.
Well, then it's up to you to stop them. Guard against their wiles. You might even catch them, unless they catch you first.
Let's go. Lead me through the middle of Thebes. I'm the only man with the courage for this. Yes, me.
You, only you, take this on for your city all alone. For the trial that awaits you is your destiny and yours alone. Come along now. I am your escort and deliverer. Another will bring you home.
My mother, right?
You'll be a celebrity.
That's why I'm going.
You'll be raised up.
I like the sound of that.
In your mother's arms.
You'll make a delicate thing of me yet.
That's one way to put it.
I'll get my just reward.
You're terrible. Just terrible.
Pentheus exits.
And what meets you will be just as terrible. Get ready. You will find glory, a fame that touches the sky. Embrace your son, Agave, and your kin too, all you daughters of Cadmus. I am taking this boy to his debut, his greatest exhibition, and I'm going to win it, me and Bromios together. Stay tuned for further developments.
Dionysus exits.
Go! Go! To the mountain, go! Go, quick hounds of madness! Run to Cadmos' daughters and their band. Incense them against the one who comes in women's wear. Like a mad thing, the spy comes to the Maenads. His mother will be first to see him hiding in the crags or behind a rocky spar, scoping them out. She'll call out to the Maenads, who's here to eavesdrop on Cadmos' mountain-bound daughters? Who is it who comes to the mountain? Who is it who comes to the mountain, Bacchae? What could have borne him? No woman's blood has borne him. A lion's whelp or a gorgon, one of the race of monsters, let justice show herself. Let justice bear her sword. Let her open the throat of this man. Let her cut down the son of Echion, the man who sprang from the earth, Atheon, Anomon, Adikon, ungodly, unlawful, unjust. He comes with violence in his head and injustice in his heart. With this, he goes against your worship, Bacchus. With this, he desecrates your mother, With his wits incensed and his will in uproar, he's on his way. He comes to conquer the unconquerable. Death will teach him temperance. In matters divine, there is no excuse. A mortal life can be without pain. I don't begrudge wisdom. I do take joy in trying to find it. But there are other things, great things, things I can know. I'd like to set sail towards a good life, to live well day and night. I will cast away injustice and I will honor my gods. Let justice show herself. Let justice bear her sword. Let her open the throat of this man. Let her cut down the son of Echion, the man who sprang from the earth, Atheon, a Nomon, a Dicon, ungodly, unlawful, unjust. Dionysus, show yourself. As a bull, as a serpent with many heads, as a lion with fire for a mane. Go, Bacchus, throw the fatal noose to catch the Bacchae's would-be hunter. Let him fall to the Maenads. Let him fall to the throng, and do it with a smile.
Second messenger enters. Hey, that's me. This house was great once. Blessed, out of all in Greece, the house of Cadmus of Sidon, who sowed a crop of dragon's teeth in the earth and reaped a harvest of earth-born men. I'm sorry for you. I'm only a servant, but I am sorry.
What is it? Do you have something to tell us?
Pentheus is dead. Echion's son is dead.
Oh, Dionysus, Lord and Lady, you have shown your glory.
What? What are you saying? You can't be happy about the fall of this house, the evil that has come upon it.
In case you haven't noticed, we're not from here. I sing in a key that was born far away from here, and you cannot threaten me with chains.
Do you think there are no men left in Thebes that will do it?
Dionysus! Dionysus has me for their own, not Thebes.
I understand that. But we are undone. To take joy in that is wrong. It is impious, ladies.
Go on. Tell me how the blasphemer died.
All right, well, we left Thebes' houses behind, crossed the river Asopus, and began the climb of rocky Kithiron. Pentheus and I was following my king, and the stranger in the lead. When we got to the site, we settled into a grass-covered valley, keeping our tongues and footsteps silent so we could watch without being watched ourselves. It was a cleft in the rock surrounded by cliffs, well-watered, canopied over with pine branches, where the Maenads had established themselves. They were keeping their hands busy with workaday things. Some were remaking their ragged staves, twining long ivy about them. Some chased each other like horses at play. Still others sang, calling back and forth to each other, some song about Bacchus. But Pentheus wasn't happy. He couldn't see the group of women from where he was. He said, "Stranger, I can't see them from here. No sign of the Maenads. We need higher ground. If I climbed one of the tall pines, I might be able to get a better view of their shameless raving." And then I saw the stranger work a miracle. They took the highest branch of a pine tree in their hands. I don't know how. He pulled it down and down and down until it touched the dark soil. It traced an arc like the curve of a drawn bow or part of a circle scratched out by a compass. Thus did he, with his hands, nothing else, bend the pine bough to earth. Human beings can't do that. He settled Pentheus on the branch and let the tree straighten itself out again, guiding it gently with his hands, making sure its cargo didn't go flying off, until finally the pine stood straight again, with my lord and master crouched on its back, right where the Maenads could see him, better than he even saw them. He was sitting duck up that high, and the stranger was nowhere to be found. But there was a voice, out of nothing, out of the air. It must have been Dionysus. The god cried out, "He's here, ladies! I've brought him! The one who laughed at you, at me, at my worship! Avenge us!" He spoke, and a pillar of sacred flame breached heaven and earth at his words. In silence, the leaves of the trees hushed themselves, and the beast made no sound. You wouldn't have heard a thing. The women bolted to their feet and tried to investigate. And the god rang out again, and this time the daughters of Cadmus knew it was Dionysus's command. Doves could not have been quicker than them as they surged forward, sprinting with quick footfalls. Agave, his mother, then her sisters, then all the Bacchae behind them. They leaped over broken cliffs and streams swollen with the snowmelt, with the god-breathing frenzy into them. When they caught sight of the king perched in the pine trees, they threw stones for their missiles, first pebbles, then boulders. From a high rock opposite the tree that they'd scaled, they threw pine branches like javelins, and still others used their staves as spears and launched a volley of those at Pentheus too. But they didn't hit home. He was sitting at too great a height for even their energy to reach. But they'd got him cornered with no escape route. As a last resort, they pulled up oak branches, lightning fast, using them like iron crowbars to gouge out the tree's roots. When even this didn't work, Agave called, "Come on, circle the trunk, every maenad to a branch. We'll bring down this crouching beast, make sure he won't go spreading the secrets of the gods' rights." 1,000 hands seized the pine tree and uprooted it. From that great height, Pentheus fell, screaming, long and loud. It has clicked. He knew he was done. His mother was the high priestess. It was her right to go first, to begin the killing. So she threw herself at him. He tore the headband from his head so that she would recognize him. Oh, poor Agave. To stop her from killing him. He touched her face and said, "It's me, mother. It's me, your son. It's Pentheus. You had me in Echion's house. Mercy, mother, please. I know I messed up. Please, please, don't kill me. Don't kill your son." She was foaming at the mouth, and her eyes roved everywhere. She wasn't thinking clearly, or at all. Bacchus had hold of her. She didn't listen. Grabbing his left forearm in her hands, she braced her foot against his bruised ribs and tore the arm from his shoulder. It wasn't her own strength that did it. The god had given her hands some of his own. Ino went to work on the other side, tearing the flesh from the bones, and Autonoe and the rest of the Bacchae fell on him. There was so much noise, all of them together, him groaning with all the breath he could get and them raising their victory cry. One carried off an arm, another a foot, still shod. His ribs were stripped bare, and with bloody hands they threw what was left of Pentheus around like they were playing catch. His body lies all over the place, some in the cracks in the rock, some in the canopy deep in the forest. It won't be easy to find. His wretched head, his mother got that in her hands. She speared it on top of her staff like a hunter who brings a lion home down the middle of Kithiron, leaving her sisters behind in the Maenad's dances. She's coming home, rejoicing in the cursed quarry she caught, bringing it inside the walls. She gives Bacchus partial credit, her partner in the hunt, her brother in arms, the most illustrious victor. Her only prize is tears. I have to go. Get out of the crossfire before Agave sets foot back in the house. Temperance. Temperance and honoring the gods. It's the best we can do. It's the smartest thing mortals can choose to do. Exit.
Dance in the name of the god Dionysus. Raise up your voices for the fall of Pentheus, son of the dragon's teeth, son of the earth born, dressed in women's garb and a fennel staff. He went straight down to Hades. The great bull led him by the hand to disaster, to death. Cadmus's Bacchae, you have achieved the glory of glories, but for you it is wailing, for you it is tears. What a great thing, what a fine thing, for one's hands to drip red with blood, blood of a son that you struck down. But look, Agave comes home. Pentheus's mother comes home with her eyes rolling. Welcome her to the revels. Welcome her with the god's own joy.
Bye. Sorry.
You're good. Go.
What's got you so excited?
I've come from the mountain. I brought home a new cutting, a fresh sprig to adorn the halls, a blessed quarry.
I can see that, and I welcome you to the dance.
I snagged him, me on my own. No ropes for this wild young lion. See for yourself.
From what wilderness?
Kitheron
Kitharon?
killed him.
Who struck him down?
Me! I was first. The honor is mine. They sing of me in the revels. They call me Agave the Blessed.
Anyone else?
Cadmus's.
Cadmus is what?
His daughters, my sisters. They only got to the beast after me. After me. We got lucky in this hunt.
So lucky.
Come on, share in this feast with me.
What? Share it, you poor woman.
It's a young one, too. See how the hair is so soft on the sides here and longer on the top?
He certainly looks like a beast with hair like that. A wild beast.
Bacchus is a huntsman indeed. He was so smart in setting the maenads on this wild thing.
Oh, they are. Our lord and lady is a hunter.
Won't you congratulate me?
Congratulations.
Soon, Cadmus's kin.
And Pentheus, your son.
He'll be so proud of his mother for catching this prize, the lion's share.
Remarkable.
Remarkably done.
Are you pleased?
Ecstatic. It was amazing. I did something amazing in this chase. Look what I caught.
So floofy.
That is in the text.
It's in the text, absolutely.
Bigger.
Like splatter of lies.
Yes.
So show them, oh great and terrible woman, show them your hunting prize brought home in victory.
People of thieves, this fair towered city, all of you, come see what I've caught. The prey that the daughters of Cadmus have snared in the hunting, not with thrown spears like those in Thessaly, not with nets, but with our own fingers, our own arms. What use is there in boasting of our skill in spear making? It's all in vain. We did this. We caught this wild beast, barehanded, and scattered his joints to the wind. Sorry, Jake. Where's my old father? Tell him to come. Where's my son Pentheus? He should have this. Tell him to bring a ladder with him. I, too, want him to mount this on the lintel, this lion that I caught for him, brought here for him.
Cadmus enters, bearing the rest of Pentheus.
Come on, bear that wretched burden. Oh, Pentheus. Come on, right here, right before the house. This wasn't easy to find. I searched all over the Kitharon, finding the body, the scraps. I brought it back. Some was thrown to the trees, some was thrown to the rocks. It was hard to retrieve. I've been informed of my daughter's activities, but only when I was already out of the city, on my way back, trying to get to the Bacchae with old Tiresias. I turned right back around to the mountains. Now I escort my grandson home, slain by the Maenads. I saw Autonoe there, Actaeon's mother by Aristeus, and I know my girls still strung to madness among the oaks and the pines. I was told Agave was on her way here, Bacchus' spirit in her steps. Seems they were right. I see her. It is a curse to see her.
Daddy, we brought you bragging rights. The world, sorry, bragging rights. We brought you bragging rights, the right to say you have the finest daughters in the mortal world. All of us, well, mostly me, we left the loom behind and went on to bigger and better things, to the bare-handed hunt. I have the victory spoils right here. See? I brought them here for you to hang up in the house. Here, you should hold them, Daddy. Be proud of our catch. Tell your friends. Have a feast. We are blessed. Blessed for what we've done.
Oh, Pentheus. Grief beyond measure. I can't look not at what you've done with murderous hands. You've thrown down a fine sacrifice to the gods, and you would call all of Thebes to a feast for it, to your misery, greatest of all, and then to my own. A god has destroyed us justly, but this is too much. The Lord Bromios has destroyed us. He's our family.
You're getting crotchety in your old age, and your eyes are just sad. My son will be a good hunter. He takes after his mother when he takes a kill with the rest of the Theban youth someday. And all he does now is rail against the gods. You should really scold him for that, Daddy. Can someone call him out here so he can see my stroke of luck? Look!
Oh shit. You'll know pain when you realize what you've done. If you stay like this forever, you won't be all right. But at least you won't know how not all right you are. Oh god.
What do you mean, not all right? What's wrong?
Okay, first, just I need you to look at the sky.
Okay. Why am I looking at it?
Okay, does it look the same, or has it changed?
Brighter than before. It looks sharper.
And do you feel still overwrought?
I don't understand. I think I'm coming down now. I think I'm coming down from whatever I was before. Something's changing.
Can you hear me? Can you answer me clearly?
Yes. I forgot what you were saying, Dad.
Whose house did you go to when you were married?
You gave me to one of the Earthborn. That's what people called them. Echion.
And who is the son you bore there to that husband?
Pentheus. He's mine and his father's.
And whose head are you holding in your hands?
A lion's. They said so in the hunt. They said so.
Yeah, look again. Look really clearly. It's not that hard.
She looks.
What is this I'm seeing? What am I holding?
Look, you'll understand.
I see sorrow, the great sorrow.
Does it still look like a lion?
No, it's Pentheus. It's Pentheus's head. No, please, no.
Mourned even before you knew him?
How did he die? How did he get in my hands?
Very unhappy truth. And too long in the coming.
Tell me. My heart's beating so fast I can't.
You killed him. You and your sisters.
Where? Here? Where did this happen?
Same place where Actaeon's dogs dismembered him.
Kithaeron? Why did Pentheus go there?
He went to mock the god in your rites.
Why did we go there?
You were possessed. You and the rest of the city had Bacchus within them.
Dionysus? He's destroyed us. I understand.
He was dishonored by you. He was not acknowledged as a god.
Where is
What
my
can I
son,
say?
father? Where is what's left of my most loved child?
I've brought it back. I've brought it back here. Only just managed to find it.
Has he been set in order?
I mean, no, but I tried. I couldn't.
But what did Pentheus have to do with my mistake?
I mean, he took after you and did not honor that god, and so the god bound us all together in the same rite and destroyed this house and us with it, and me, without sons and without your son and without my grandson, child of your womb, woman of sorrow. This was an ugly death. He's died. Yes, yes, yes.
He addresses the pieces. He addresses the pieces of Pentheus.
Yeah. You were a
He's like
light in the house.
Larry
that held
David
us
as Cadmus.
together. Child, you were the son of my daughter. You were something to be feared in the city. When
Now
they
you're just
stuck
an
your
arm.
face, nobody would insult ancient old me. You would have laid down the law on all of them. But now, as I am dishonored, exiled from my own house, Cadmus the Great, who sowed and reaped the Theban race, the most glorious of harvests, dearest to me all of all men, you're dead. I know you're dead. But I call you dearest still, child. You will never touch me with again, embrace me, call me your grandfather, touch my face, saying, "Who's wronged you, old man? Who has slandered you? Has someone stirred you up or made your heart heavy? Say who, so I can punish them or help punish anyone who hurts you, grandfather." But now I am miserable and you are broken. And your mother needs pity, and her sisters are ruined. If there are any left who would look down on the gods, let them see this death, and let them know the gods.
I'm sorry, Cadmus. This man deserved what he got, child of your child, but it is a torment for you.
Dad, everything's changed. Everything's gone.
Agave mourns. In the quiet, Dionysus enters, a god revealed.
I warned him. I told him exactly what I was, and he said I wasn't. I told him who I was, and he didn't believe me. I told all of you who I am, and you said no. Oh, I'm sorry. Am I not fun anymore? We were having such fun, me and the girls and all of you. Wasn't it fun? Wasn't it cool and sexy and camp and just a little bit dangerous? Wasn't I? But now that he's dead in 17 different pieces and she's crying, we all feel a little bit different, don't we? Maybe you do. You didn't have to kill him like that, though. That was cruel to fuck with his mind like that. Maybe I fucked with his mind. Maybe I didn't. You'll just have to argue that one out amongst yourselves for another couple thousand years. But I definitely killed him. Well, I brought it about. She did a damn fine job of the actual killing. Let's give her a hand, folks. I think I see one in the pile just under the intestines. No? Is that not funny anymore? Oh well. Yes, it was cruel. That's the point. It was cruel and over the top and vicious. And I'm so fucking glad I did it. I'm glad he's dead. I wanted him to die. I wanted him to hurt. I wanted him to understand every single fucking thing that he missed out on. Every single fucking thing I could have given him if he'd just listened and looked at me and actually seen me. I don't care if you don't like me anymore. Go be a snake. I guess to Cadmus, go be a snake or whatever it was that used to be here. Lead your barbarian army sack Thebes, pillage Apollo's oracle, get saved by Ares, whatever string of unintelligible hero cult prophecy used to be here before someone got a little too careless with the papyrus.
To Agave.
Auntie Agave, get out. There were other words here once, good ones, but they're lost to time. Oh, is this like, sorry. Nope.
It's still you. It's still you.
Thank you.
You're good. Yeah.
I had a moment. To time, to carelessness, to the degradation of parchment, fire, and sand. Doesn't matter. They're all lost. Cadmus and his wife Harmonia turned to serpents, leading an army and sacking Thebes. Still as serpents? I've never been sure. Pillaging Apollo's oracle, saved at the end by Ares, a peaceful death at long last, and so on. But you, grandfather, auntie, I bring Semile's regards. The Semele you called a whore, called a liar. I can't help but think that maybe if she had been believed, if when she had come to you with news of a child, you had trusted her, she might not have trusted Hera when she planted that seed of doubt. What if your sisters are right? What if this is a common man and your child is a common bastard? She might not have made Zeus promise her anything that she asked for. She might not have asked him to reveal himself. And she might not have been burned out of existence by what she saw. I might have had a mother, but you didn't believe her. And even after she went up in smoke, you and your sisters and your son shut her out. And you shut me out. I say this to you as Dionysus, child of no mortal father. I am Zeus's child. I am Semele's child. If you would have been wiser, if you had been willing to listen, you would be happy now, and you would have the child of Zeus as your ally, your family.
Dionysus, we are begging you. We know we have acted unjustly.
A little too late to that. You should have known from the start. You didn't.
I know that now, but you have gone too far.
And you committed blasphemy. I am a god. You denied me.
Yes, you are God, and so you shouldn't stoop to mortal anger.
Doesn't matter. Zeus, my father, set this all in motion long ago.
It's been decided. Exile for us both.
Quite. And why delay? What will be, will be.
Child, all of this is too terrible. All that's come upon us. You, your sisters, and us, all cursed. I will go into foreign lands, an aged exile, and have no rest from trouble or pain, no peaceful passing to the Acheron which flows down into the earth.
Father, I'll have to go without you.
What's all this, my poor child? You look like a little swan, wings outspread over its worn-out parent.
Where should I go? I don't have another home to go to.
I don't know, my girl. Your father can't be of much use to you here.
She straightens and breaks away.
Goodbye. Goodbye to the palace. Goodbye to my city, my country, my home. I leave you in pain. I leave you in pain for more pain in my banishment.
Go now, my child. My Aristeus land.
I grieve for you, Father.
And I for you, my child. For you and for your sisters.
It's a terrible thing that Dionysus has done to us and our house.
And terrible what was done to him, for his name had no honor in Thebes.
Goodbye, my father.
Goodbye, good unhappy daughter. It will be hard going for you.
Agave draws herself up.
See me out, ladies. It's the least you can do. I'll fetch my sisters to accompany me in the journey. I will go where sullied Kithaeron can no longer see me, where I can no longer see Kithaeron, where there are no fennel staves to be found. Leave it to the rest of the Bacchae.
Cadmus and Agave are led to separate exits. Chorus exits. Dionysus is alone on stage.
Dionysus has
It
already
has to be like big dramatic music.
hit the microphone with the wine glass because that's what Dionysus would do.
Absolutely.
There it is.
There you go.
Acid jazz. That is exactly the sound.
Yes, thank you.
It's
Jake,
a
take
Oh
hard.
it
my
out.
god, you guys, all of you were amazing. That was amazing.
All
That
right,
was legitimately so much fun.
I'm
Eli,
so sorry for
did-
Jake. He wouldn't stop crying, and then I was like,
That was
"Well,
the great. No, that was the greatest addition you could have possibly ever made. The level, the depth that it added to be holding up your dog as a lion's head slash the son, of the head of your son.
I'm new, sweetie." Come here.
He did
All
real
right.
good.
He did.
Playing the severed head of Pentheus.
So good.
This is severed head of
Kudos.
Crosses.
Kudos you all. Thank you. That was
That's
so
right. He
fun.
was the severed head of. He was playing the severed head of crosses, playing the severed head of
Severed head of
Pentheus.
Pentheus.
Also,
A very
Emma,
layered part, if you think about
that
it.
translation is glorious. Love
It's
it.
good.
Oh my god, yeah, Emma.
Yes,
Well
So good.
done.
Emma.
I mean,
Emma, thank you
Okay.
so much. We really appreciate it.
You do.
truly.
I don't know if you're listening or not. We've not had you on Fangirl before. We would love to have you on maybe sometime late 2025. We're a little busy at the beginning, but we love you.
Yes.
And
love
thank
We
you
got
Emma.
contact info. Emma's the best.
all of Jake. This is Jake's performance. He's a good little baby. He doesn't stop crying. That's why he needed to be in.
He did amazing.
You
work.
know, he played
name-
Pentheus as
Yeah, I
a
was gonna
deadline
say.
very
As a
well.
dead
Maybe
body
he's
as
the real
a head.
He was
Well.
dead lion head of Pentheus very
Yes,
well.
He did real great.
He really embodied the role.
He did.
Oh, we lost. Okay, we're good.
Oh,
All right.
yeah.
Well, we're past time, but God, you guys,
No,
it was
it's
so
a-
much fun. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna do some closing remarks for us all to sign us out. First of all, thank you, listeners, for being a part of this amazing community. All the work we do would not be possible without you. For International Podcast Day, please, please, please show your favorite podcasters some love by subscribing to their YouTube channels and social media pages. And if you're feeling extra generous, leave comments and reviews wherever you listen or watch your podcast. It really helps us out. Share with your friends. Like, we want to reach out to more people.
No,
Here's some
I don't know, but
fun.
Spotify comments are the greatest.
Spotify
thing that
comments,
Spotify
yep.
is- I was honestly, I'll be honest,
Spotify
I had a call with Spotify like right after the comments were introduced, and they were really trying to sell them to me as like a great thing, and I was so afraid because I tend to get shitty people being shitty. And
Yeah.
then no, like 98% of the comments are like the most joyful thing. I've turned around completely. Everyone, if you listen on Spotify, comment. It's such a joy. But also keep in mind that time is a flat circle. And if you're commenting on a podcast episode that's from 7 years ago, it is from 7 years ago.
Yeah, we
So
can't.
that was a PSA.
Yeah, a lot of us can't go back. We don't have the capacity to amend things from 7
Well,
years
they'll ask me, oh, yeah, or ask, they'll ask
it's pretty
questions, and you'll be like,
Yeah,
"Well, but I mean, I don't know. It was 7 years ago. I knew
Your
the answer
references
7
we
years
might
ago."
have made 7 years ago that we regret making now, and we're not going to go back and change that because you know it's a time capsule, right?
We all
Also-
used to think J.K. Rowling wasn't a piece of human garbage. We've
Oh,
all
God.
learned.
We've
It's
all
And I'm
fine.
so
Everyone
torn.
has to
I'm
grow
so
and
torn now because
change.
McGonagall and Maggie Smith, and I'm like,
Oh no! Don't tell me! Don't tell me!
No, she
No,
passed
can't.
away, Liv. She
They
passed
can't.
away.
Did
Yeah.
she?
yeah.
When?
Well,
I
You
must.
didn't know that? Oh,
Like
Yeah.
yesterday.
recent?
Yesterday.
It just happened.
Oh, I
Yeah.
didn't know that. Oh, that's
Very
so sad.
recently. Yeah.
It
Oh,
is.
I'm
For-
sorry. I did not make that comment with the knowledge that had happened.
No,
I
no, no,
love Maggie Smith.
Yeah, we all do. Dame Maggie Smith.
Dame Maggie
Yeah.
Smith.
From Downton. Oh,
Right.
she was so good in Downton Abbey. Sorry, R.I.P.
I think
Many-
for a bit of levity, I think the Onion nailed it, which is PBS already planned on running a Maggie Smith marathon anyways.
That was good. That was it.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And like that's
Alan
like,
Cullen. Oh my
like what a cute
God.
honor to her while also being like what a joy.
Yes.
Yes.
when we have
Yes, literally.
comparisons underway.
So
Um,
cute.
All right, so here's some links to get you all started to help support your favorite podcasters who put a very entertaining show on for you all,
And Jake.
hopefully.
I
And
mean,
Jake.
let's be honest, Movies We
Jake the
Dig put
Monster.
on 99% of this show. We,
Jake's
the rest
best
of us,
actor.
arrived. I mostly, I think it's
It's
a lot
Christy.
of Christy, but I'm trying to
It's
give.
Christy.
Okay,
It's Christy.
No, it's Christy.
Christy.
I will let. I was gonna let
100%
you
Christy.
guys because I'm not
Thank
sure,
you.
but yeah.
No,
It
it's
seemed like it was
Christy.
Christy. So thank
It
you
was
because this
Yes.
was
90%
so fun.
Christy.
Thank you
Thank you,
for
Christy,
helping
for
me
being-
live out this project because like I was really
I mean,
excited for it.
It was a thrill, and you and I are gonna
Thank
talk
you for
after
having
this,
us.
'cause I got ideas
This
now.
has been so
for sure.
fun.
Fuck
Mhm.
It's been
All
incredible.
Yes.
All right, so if you want to learn more about Movies We Dig, we have movieswedig.com and all their socials at Linktree Movies We Dig. Ancient History Fangirl, you can find it at ancienthistoryfangirl.com and all their
Yes,
socials
yes,
at
yes.
Linktree Ancient History Fangirl. And let's talk about Myths Baby. You can find it at the website mythsbaby.com. We're real easy, you guys.
Honestly,
and
we
Liv
got our
socials-
handles.
Yeah, and Liv socials at Linktree/LiveAlbert. So special thanks to Jen, Jenny, and Liv for taking part in the special live stream event. Please be sure to support them, their podcasts, and all their other amazing projects. Is there anything you guys would like to do as a final plug? Now's the time to do it.
So I'm going to say this because she won't say it. Jenny has a book coming out in February. It's called
Oh,
Living
she
My Dreams. It is about Alaric of the Visigoths. It is about the fall of Rome, a barbarian
But also,
warlord.
it's a Rome.
A spicy romantasy. Pre-order now, coming from Harlequin on the 4th of February.
Yes, that's
Honestly,
true.
it's great.
Not
Jen and I
having-
have read it. It's great.
Yeah,
Really good. I
I've
texted
never
Jenny a lot
heard
of
of Rome, so I'm
incoherent.
excited to learn about it.
Oh, you can learn
This is
so
a
much
very
about
entire
very
Rome.
season on
factual
Rome.
way to learn about Rome. Is
Yeah, absolutely. So deeply factual.
I'm trying to
factual.
angle myself in for an arc here. I'm so fucking
Absolutely.
excited
Yes,
for Jenny's
have
book.
one.
I'm
Um,
so glad you asked.
Great.
That can be
I texted
arranged.
a lot of incoherent things when I first read it because I read it and Jenny and I had like a late night conversation where I was like, I don't have formal words. I just have to tell you that I'm now obsessed with your characters and I'm really annoyed that it has to finish and I'm just going to need you to start writing the sequel immediately and tell me everything about it. So
Yeah, get on it, Jenny. Make it happen.
I'm
Literally.
doing
I mean,
that.
she
Jenny.
is. She got
Y'all,
to
she's
the
on track to write a sequel. I've read about 2/3 of it. She calls me her Eye of Sauron. I'm her like,
Yes, Jen is my Eye of Sauron. She's
and I
so
find it
tall.
really hot. If
Oh my
you've been
God.
watching Rings of Power, I'm like, yes, that is the role I would like to have. If I
Oh my
could
god, oh my god, oh my god.
Sauron.
So the burning eyeball in the distance.
Oh my god, let me jump off this like cliff of I don't know, hotness with you. I'm there.
And
Yeah,
like if,
also, Jenny and I wrote a book called Women of Myth. If you haven't picked it up yet, it's a lot of fun. It's more serious, but also in our same tone. And we follow women across 50 different women across the world in different mythologies. So it's a good time.
and beautiful artwork in all of it too.
Oh,
so.
yeah.
Sarah
And
Richard.
speaking
Sarah
of that,
Richard.
Sarah Richard is a goddess, and she also illustrated. I wrote my books, to be clear, but Sarah Richard illustrated my books. Oh, thank you, because you got the other one.
Yep.
Greek mythology, the Gods, Goddesses, and Heroes Handbook. Is it a work of art now? But it's a great, interesting way to get you introduced to Greek mythology. One day I'll write something better.
But the art is a
Nectar
work
of
of
Work
art.
of art.
The artwork,
It is.
artist work is amazing.
No, well, no, exactly. Sorry, I meant the writing again. But no,
The
but
writing is also a
Nectar
work
of the
of art.
Gods is a work of art.
It
1000%.
is. It's so
It
good.
is.
And it has sold incredibly poorly compared to the other one. And it is the dorkiest thing I've ever done with also booze. So I just need everyone to maybe buy it. Like, I don't
Oh.
even want it to sell
fuck
particularly
yeah.
There are
well. but I
good
need it
cocktails
to-
in here,
there-
y'all.
That's the thing. And the it's really punny and great and silly.
Good.
I don't even want money from this. I just think the book is like actually such a joy that it needs to do better because it's so fun.
Agreed.
Look at that.
Here are various. I'm
Agreed.
just gonna show you guys various
That was
illustrations. and
that
they
was
are
like
all
like
stunning.
Calypso's iced tea, and it's like her hand gripping.
Yes.
Yep. Oh, that's the Labos of Heracles. That's the
Liv,
one
can
that
you show
called
it.
Persephone? Can you show
I had to
Persephone?
switch to
in
wine because
the-
if I had another one of those, I don't know. I'd rip
I
my
mean,
own head off.
valid. No, those were all booze.
I
No,
would
Jenny, that one you had, that was a Maynard. Yeah, where's the Persephone one?
Yeah,
You know what's
wait,
the funnest? Because Sarah Richard and I became friends like before with my other book, right? And so like she and I were all chatty and great, which is so nice because then basically I was allowed to pick which cocktails would get an illustration. And I was like, Sarah, and I like texted her separately, and I was like, I'm giving you as many gothy like underworld
her
ones as I
gothic artwork
possibly
is
can.
so good.
Oh my god, and thank you, the symposium one is my favorite because he's playing a very dangerous game of Kotobos. Like, that's a dangerous game of
I
Kotobos
hate
there.
Kotobos. It makes me
Right?
filled with rage.
Well,
This
but
is one of my
imagine
favorites. This
flicking
is just
that
one of my favorites. I
I mean,
love
it's
it.
really
The
tasty too,
La
with the
Bouse of
balsamic in there.
Heracles, which is what Colin was drinking tonight.
Oh my god, no, Agamemnon's bathwater, Jenny, thank you.
Oh, that
Oh,
one.
I
Oh,
just had
that's what it
too.
was?
Just had to
Oh,
go
yeah,
with
yeah,
the
yeah.
feminine rage theme.
There we
Yeah.
go.
This one is my pride and joy. The fact that a publisher allowed me to call a cocktail Agamemnon's bathwater and then describe it to Taya Engst, who did the cocktails, as just I would like it strong and to look like bloody bathwater. And the fact that nobody stopped me from doing that might be my life's work, quite frankly.
Beautiful. No, this is the Thracian god that I made, and I also spilled like some stuff on it, and
Aries is
it looks like
thrilled.
perfectly like the blood splatter that I would expect.
Yes.
And
Right.
it's
Aries is having it.
yeah, I'm like
I've got
this-
Odysseus Wine Dark
excellent. It's
Sea,
perfect. It's
darkly purple and amazing if you love wine.
yeah.
And like if you don't like red wine, but because it's like too tannicy or bitter or something, lavender syrup and lemon juice, man, that
You know what makes
Does
a
a
big
lot.
difference,
Makes it
doesn't
good.
it?
Does a
Yeah.
lot.
No, and Jenny, you just showed Demeter's Bitter Harvest. That one, I love the
Yes,
art.
yes,
I've not
yes,
drank
yes.
it, but the art is so.
Okay, you guys,
On
I'm gonna do
very nice.
one final shout out. I want to give a special shout out to the one person working behind the scenes today to make all of this happen, Andy
Jake the
Taylor, my
dog.
partner, and Jake the dog.
Jake the dog was in front. He was leaving out.
Yeah, he was very in front of the camera. He was a star.
Yeah. So special thanks to Andy because like
Thanks, Andy.
he's
Thank
the
you,
one who gave me the
Andy.
courage to try this whole thing, and I think it went really well. So I'm
Yeah.
Fucking
So
baller.
fun.
Thank you, Andy.
Thank you. Thank
All
you,
right.
Christy.
Yeah,
Again.
Thank you,
Thank
Christy.
you,
Christy,
Christy.
for being a fucking baller.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Movies We Dig.
Yeah.
Thank you to everybody.
and you know, if everyone likes it, let's do this again next year.
Yeah.
1000%.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Mhm. I'll be there. Jake will be
Thanks
there.
for watching, people too.
Yeah,
whoever
thank you
was.
for like
Yeah.
chat. You guys are awesome.
chat's
Like I didn't have
been
to like boot
fun.
anyone, which is good because I don't
Y'all
have
are
the capacity
incredible.
to do that. So
No,
Next, I'll get
no,
on
this
chat
is
and start just
so
you
fun.
know trolling.
M says it gave
Get
major sleepover vibes, and I think that's a great compliment.
You know,
Next year-
that is the best compliment we could ever have.
Hot
Actually.
take: next year we
Yes.
just do a sleepover. We lock ourselves in a
Yes.
room.
Yes.
for
I
yes.
mean,
24.
I'm there. Let's
I
do
have some
it.
really nice PJs.
There, yeah, I remember.
Lovely.
I love. I know
Lovely.
way too much about your life, Jenny. Where
I
I'm
have
like,
silk
"Wow, when Jenny bought
PJs. They're
those."
very nice. This is one of
I
my
remember when Jenny
pandemic
bought her nice
buys.
PJs. It was a
We
whole
invite
plot
Jake
point
the
in
dog
our
next year.
friendship.
It was.
I'm like simultaneously pitching a
Like, yeah,
podcast,
yeah.
but also a horror movie.
Yeah,
Yes.
we'll all be in the same
And that's
time
why
zone. We can go wild.
I'm there. Yes.
and Colin, I
100%.
just have to ask, as the single white dude, straight guy in this whole group,
Sorry.
The masculine
what
energy.
a cat
Yes,
lady
that's
amongst
me.
cat ladies.
Stop,
No,
ladies.
how was this for you?
Oh, I had a great time. This is a weird. I had a weird, like, surreal moment where, like, during the pandemic, when I emailed Eli and was like, "I'm starting a movie podcast," and then, like, 4 years later, I'm looking. I'm like, "How did my life like get to this point?"
How
But,
did we
like,
get here?
I'm not.
How did we get
yeah.
here? It was like two
I'm
friends,
not. I'm not.
and we were like,
I'm not upset about it.
I'm not
Yeah,
upset
on
no.
the
either.
internet.
none of this.
We, like, I have learned so much about making friends via nerdery on the internet through this
Yeah.
podcast,
Yeah.
and it is truly like the best thing. I mean, I met those two nerds.
real.
I'm pointing below as if you all know where the
100%.
screens are, but I'm talking about Jen and Jenny.
Look,
But I met them through the show, and now all of you. Like, it's just so fun.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Honestly, I just didn't want to like. I just didn't want to harsh anyone's vibe. That's
You did no. It was
You're-
so
there was
fun.
No
Thank
vibes
you.
were harsh.
Yeah.
No
you.
vibes were harsh.
guys,
No
Colin, we
vibes
love
were harsh
you.
in this episode.
Thank you to my co-host for like taking on some parts of it, so I got some sleep last night.
Look, as winner of the quiz this year, I will do the pub trivia quiz next year.
As Miss
Yeah,
Hell
Julie.
yeah.
Yes.
As Julius Caesar, I will channel that bitch down in here.
She
I
does
will-
I didn't
that a
want to.
lot.
I didn't want to say this because, like, when we were planning with Chrissy, I'm like, well, like, I gotta host it because if we compete, I'm gonna fucking crush all these nerds. But
I don't know.
Get out!
You and I are gonna bring some real random shit.
all right, that's what I'm here. I'm gonna make some weird shit. Hope you're
Always, always. That's what I
Get real
count on
down
you
to the
for.
trenches, the Malaysia, we're here for it.
Yeah, that's what I count on you for, Colin.
All right.
Whoever is still watching, I will say, like, this is so fun. I feel like we need to do this maybe more often than International Podcast Day. You and I, Christy, we're gonna chat because, like,
Okay, that
this
sounds
could be
wonderful.
fun.
Oh, yeah.
I agree. I'm 100% behind that. So if you guys are watching, listening, give us likes and subscribes and smash that like button, whatever, so we know that you like this and want to see more of it.
Damn right.
And for those of you who don't know, because Jenny and I have referenced it, in the Bacchae, very famously, Crassus, the fucking Crassus, that fucking dude, was killed during his Parthian campaign, and his head was used as a prop in the Bacchae as Pentheus's head.
Oh, the Robins were fucked up, and I respect them for
in
that.
a community theater production of the Bacchae, and that's one account of what happened to Crassus. It may
That's
not
obviously
be
the account I subscribe to.
It's the one. It's the official account of Crassus's death of our podcast.
Yes.
I do have to say, Jen, speaking of, I suppose not Crassus, but maybe I'll just on a leap say, speaking of Julius Caesar, we have had a request here in the comments. I see that in the chat, request that. Wait, sorry, they're moving up.
I see it.
Thank you. Can we get Julius Caesar as a guest next year?
Yeah.
Oh,
and
we'll
then
try
we
real
had a
hard.
reply of
We'll
I do miss the
our
ghost
best.
of JC. Well, we have Julius Caesar vaguely in the room.
I think that my time is far better spent watching tiny homes than spending it here amongst you, unless potentially I could host the trivia and I could give you the truest of facts about both my life and the life of the great
Father of lies.
Father of lies.
He's father of propaganda. Let's be serious.
And I will allow Jake to be my co-host as long as he is silent. If he speaks, I will send him out into the cold.
You really
sacrifice him to the nest.
I love it. I love it. I love it so much.
I think someone needs
There we go. We've already had applause for a Julius Caesar appearance.
All right, you guys, I'm gonna play our fun music as an outro. Dance your way out. Have a wonderful night, and let's do this again.
Yeah, this was so
I love y'all. It was amazing to be here. Thank y'all for participating.
Andy,
greatest music.